Come on YouTube. And there goes TikTok. Let's see here. There we go. We are in March, just like that. It seems funny because, it's winter time. Matter of fact, just past the worst of winter, right? January, February. And yet we're getting a little rain today in Los Angeles. Nothing much. But of course, it doesn't compare to the rest of the country who's getting cold. Anyways, so if you're joining us for the first time, this is Ask an Atheist. I'm Phil, Agnostic Atheist. I don't know how many people have called me host when it's like right there and it's also above. So please call me Phil. It's just much less formal. Um, uh, um, we're on TikTok live and on YouTube live. If you're on both of those, you can participate in the chat. If you're on TikTok, you can participate in the show by just being invited in, or tell me you want to come in and I'll let you up. No call screeners here, so that quick trigger if someone just does something weird that they're not supposed to do. But I kind of like it kind of loose like that. So if you've been following us for a few months, this is our first weekly show now. I've reduced down to once a week. It was just a bit of a too much of a personal lifestyle issue. There's some priorities and health issues that were going on, and this is what we're going to do going forward. So I appreciate everybody coming in for the weekly. It's been a good week. I've been talking about Believe in Reality merch a little bit, and I'll that's up and available now, but I'll tell you about that further into the show. When we have a room full of people that actually are curious about it, as opposed to people just kind of passing by. But meanwhile, speaking of which, I always say hi to the first one in, who is Carrie Mazizi. Carrie Mazizi. Um, and let's see. Oh, into the studio, Dave joined from your short videos. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I pull shorts off of this content, and I also do some of my own. And I appreciate that over on YouTube. Although that was a TikTok comment. Some of the TikTok gets pulled from this content too, because I do a 3 hour show, which it comes and goes in terms of what's interesting. But I pulled out um 30-second to 2 minute pieces usually when something interesting happens. And gosh, there's a wonderful AI tool that helps me do that. It's called Riverside.fm. I'm not associated with them in terms of any sort of sponsorship or anything, but so far they're doing a pretty good job. You upload a file and it'll go through and pull out interesting stuff and give you a text transcript of it and let you edit by editing the transcript, which is kind of cool. It doesn't work perfectly. I mean, there's some pluses and minuses to doing that, but the important thing is it helps you find the spots where there's an interesting little tidbit of discussion, and that's the thing that really kills you on time. So it's been working out really well. Kind of a new product, so we'll see how it evolves over time. but it's just an early example of how AI is just going to be become so prevalent. Um, as I'm doing this Etsy shop as an example, it's it's quite simple now to, well, I wouldn't say simple. It's a hell of a lot of work to do an Etsy shop. My hat's off to anybody who's been doing it for years. Um, it takes a huge amount of time and a huge amount of lead time to get things going. And I'm just at the very beginning. We literally had the first sale yesterday, which I did not expect for like another month. So that was kind of a thrill. Um, but the AI helps like with making graphics and stuff like that and writing descriptions and things. And it just, the people that had to do that manually. Okay. You don't want to hear about that. You don't want to hear about that. Let's talk about religion. So I got a question up here. Are you able to admit that you don't know for sure if God exists? Now, I describe myself as an agnostic atheist, which is the honest position of not believing in God, but not knowing for sure that there isn't a God. And this should apply on the other side too. Theists should be agnostic theists for the simple reason that none of us are 100% knowing, right? None of us are gods. We're just mortal human beings with limited brains, and we can't know for sure. However, most theists that you run into, or a lot of theists, we'll say half, okay, just to be fair, will claim that they 100% believe in God, which is an incorrect position, but they're very confident of it. So I'm curious when that comes up to see if how much of it is they don't want to admit that they don't know for sure, or that they're using faith to fill that gap to say they're sure. I mean, if you have to use faith, then of course you're not sure, because if there's a gap, you wouldn't have to fill it with faith. So, and that gap is on anybody's belief. We've got, let's say you're 70, let's say you're 80% sure that God exists, then you have a doubt gap of 20%. So, uh, as I say on my belief scale from 1 to 100, you can't be at 0 and you can't be at 100. You can be at a lowest, you can be a 1% believer, which is a disbeliever, obviously. And then you can be 99% sure, and then you still have that 1% of doubt. And of course, everybody throws the caveats at you. Well, I'm 99.999. Well, a couple. Okay, fine. If that makes you happy. But will theists, will anybody here come and admit that they don't know? It does happen. It does happen. But it's rarer than it should be. All right. I see a lot happening in the chat, so let me just head over there. Let's see. Mark Burley says there's never been any proof of any god from any religion ever. I would say that's true. I would agree with that. I would not agree that there's never been evidence of. I think that the as a simple example, the Bible is evidence for God, but it is minimal evidence because it's all secondhand. It's written by many people. It does it's second and third hand, right? And sometimes more than that. Uh, it's it's a small bit of evidence, but I wouldn't say that that is proof. You need a lot of evidence to build up and build up to build up to something you would call proof. Now, for many people, they don't need to go to as high as proof. They can go to crossing down that belief scale. They can go to crossing the 50% line. If you can cross to 51% and consider it to be more likely true than not, well, then you have justified belief. But even though I don't know, I don't have a specific number in mind, or have I found anything in the literature that defines a number that says, this is proof if you're at like 95% or 90% or 80% or whatever. The closest I've gotten out of a Christian philosopher was that is whatever is convincing to the interlocutor, to the thinker. is justification, sufficient justification. So I don't know. That's an interesting question. Let me know what you think on a belief scale of 1 to 100 or 0 to 100. What would you consider to be high enough to call it proof? Again, considering that we can't be at 100%. I will say, Mark, that I agree with you when you're talking about any religion ever. Uh, that is one of the reasons collectively that I am convinced that there are no deities, because there are so many different religions. Religions just seems to be one of those things that humans do, and because it's so pervasive in almost every culture, without exception, there's just a very few exceptions. That I think that's evidence for belief, much more than proof. Let me let in a couple people here. ET Rebel and Cobain, if they want to come in, have requested. Hey, welcome in.
How's it going?
Yo,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. No problem. What's
Hey,
up?
how's it going, boy? What's up? No, I just saw the title and decided to join a chat.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you answer that question?
So I do enter it from an unbiased position, and I've had positions similar to yours. So it's the just to reiterate, it says, "Are you able to admit that you don't know it for sure if God exists?" I think that the burden is heavier to hold that position. And the reason why I feel this way
To
is
hold
because
to hold the position that God exists?
I believe it's heavier to hold a position that there is no God.
Oh, okay. Why would you do that?
Well, okay, because I think it's more than a coincidence, like the uniformity of nature, that the earth is like tailored for its inhabitants. One,
Well,
um,
before you go, before you go there, which we can do, but what do you think of the question? How would you answer the question itself? Would you admit as a follower or a believer that you don't know for sure if God exists?
right. So it says, "Are you able to admit that you don't know for sure if God exists?" I think that we all know that God does exist.
and I would say the same. I would
You would
not
say
admit
the
that.
same. Okay, so that really puzzles me because there are in life things we don't know,
Absolutely.
obviously. So why and there are things in life that we I don't want to say entirely can't know because that's too high a bar. But that we kind of realize that because we're finite mortal beings, that we can't know everything at an absolute level, and that's all really that question is asking. You can believe in a God without being able to admit, and at the same time admit that you're not 100% sure.
Well, so I know that there's a God, and that me personally, I know who He is. So I'm kind of exempt from the question because I know who He is.
Why are you? Why do you know? Like,
Yes.
explain to me that absolute. That's the one that really puzzles me. The
Okay. So that's
absolute belief.
yeah. So that's like so it puzzles me. Because you see how you're presenting it as though the burden is on me to present you know evidence for God, but it what I'm saying is that it alarms me, or I find it shocking the questions itself that you're proposing, because just the statements alone testify to you're asking me to adhere to logic, reason, uniformity. You want me to be coherent, have credibility when I speak, intelligence.
As if that's a bad thing?
No, 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 certainly not.
Yeah,
Certainly
okay.
not.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Okay.
No,
Good
no, no.
evening. How are you doing?
My point is that it no, I know, of course, yeah, I know. No, certainly not. It testifies to a deity, is my point, and that's my point. So I find it more than a coincidence that that the Earth is tailored for its inhabitants, male and a female. That's another one that's a kind of a jump, and then we have to account for things like love, music, poetry.
Okay, so
You
you
know,
still have evaded the question.
Oh, have I?
You're doing it again. You're evading the question.
Okay, I thought I was under the impression I kept on elaborating over and over again
No,
the
because
answer.
what you're doing is you're explaining to me. That's what I'm hearing. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're explaining to me why you believe, but you're not explaining. You're not explaining to. You're not answering the question, which is why do you believe at an absolute 100% level as opposed to a 99 whatever.
Oh, I thought
What gives you the justification to believe at an absolute level?
I believe my answer was sufficient personally. I think that's where me and you may differ. I think
Okay,
that's
that's fair.
sufficient.
That's fair if it is to you. So okay, go ahead.
For me, I would say like it goes by two ways. One kind of goes uh with what he was saying, is that understanding the metaphysical necessity for a fundamental being at the base of reality who created this external world in which we live in, and has given it the properties of which it has. That would be one way that I know for sure. But secondly, it'd be more of a personal anecdotal thing, is that I truly believe that I've had a personal divine revelation of a spiritual experience with this deity. So for me personally, that's how I know for me that I know for sure God exists without doubt.
Well, I can go in two different questions there. So could that experience have been a hallucination? Is it possible?
No.
Or a seizure or something along those orders, some the
No, not
brain
possible.
disorder. Why is
No,
it not possible?
because I've ruled out, given the circumstances of the situation and in the timing of which it happened, I've ruled out any sort of like malfunctioning of my brain or hallucinations or just something just like chalked up to be pure coincidence.
Okay. I'm still surprised at the absoluteness of it.
Hey,
But
so Phil, I have a question for you.
yeah, go ahead.
So you don't feel how do I say you don't feel the burden heavier to be well rather I haven't even asked you so oh rather I'm sorry the title says it, so you consider yourself to be an atheist, correct?
Agnostic atheist, yeah.
Agnostic atheist. Now you don't feel as though so
Freudian slip there. Go ahead.
and so are we saying that you don't think it's a burden to like we'll say I'm under the impression you're gonna stick to a position similar to like natural selection or something like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we know evolution happened. Sure.
So when you say the natural selection approach, like there's an intelligence behind this natural selection that's doing the selection in such of a way that's so sophisticated that it
No.
seems to be testifying
No, there
more
isn't.
than just how do I
No,
say organically.
there isn't. Go ahead, Bob.
You made a comment, I think it was you just now, that the planet we live on is tailored for us. How about you look at it the other way around? That perhaps we, through a process of observable change and evolution and mutation, which we can see, we've observed it, it's happened over the last 4.6 billion years, that this thing that we live on has been in existence. We have evolved to fit the environment that we exist in. Just because we are where we are and because we exist, that doesn't mean you have to have something controlling. We know, we have evidence. It's provable that we are how we are because of the process that we are able to observe in nature. Why do you then ignore that evidence and say, well, there must be somebody doing this? Why do you need to have it? Because why do you need to have something that we know that we cannot see any evidence for?
Yes.
To
So
deny the fact of the thing that we do have evidence for, that we can
this is
say.
why.
That's
If I
the
walk
reason.
outside, and I see my name written in leaves, I mean, it's more than just simple occurrence. Is the point? Is that there's
No,
an
it's called
intelligence that would
glossolalia.
Have
come
you
again?
ever seen your name written in leaves?
No.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's be careful with our analogies. But
What's your point?
Wait, also, Bob, I'm curious, what exactly, what process are you referring to when you said that we can observe in the natural world for
Called
how
evolution.
humans came to be in the way that we are now? What is
It's
that
called
process?
evolution.
What is
Okay.
evolution, sir?
Can I
What is
jump in here?
evolution? It's the process whereby, through natural selection, whereby an organism, well, we came to be the way we are, and it's an ongoing process. It's something which we are still doing.
But historically,
if the thing that you think
species
exists
has evolved?
exists, why do we observe constant change in species over time? Because if the thing that you say exists, then everything would be perfect from the get-go, right?
Not necessarily, and
No, yes, it would.
the word perfect is a loaded term.
It's
I don't
like
know
the
what you mean by
scripture,
that.
right? You believe that your scripture that you have had handed down came from God. And if God exists, the all-knowing, all-powerful, omniscient, omnipresent thing that you say exists, then that process of change would be unnecessary because God is perfect, right? He would just be able to go boom, and it happens.
What process
So
of
why
change?
do all these species change? Why do these changes take place? Why
Because
is God? Why?
Well, one, I would say it gives credence to the creativity of God and how he created the genetic code to have this type of malleability given certain environmental pressures that allows it to adapt to
Malleability.
its environment.
I would suggest if you're saying that your God is creative, it took him 4.6 billion years to get something that's really not perfect. That's not a particularly competent creator, is it?
I don't know where you got that number from. The Bible says he created everything as is in 6 days.
The Earth is 4.5 billion years
so
old.
when do you think this happened? When do you think this happened? How old is the
That doesn't
Earth?
matter to me.
Well, it matters to me because you're making a claim, and I need you to just because the Bible said it happened doesn't necessarily mean it did. How old do you think the planet is?
No clue.
6,000 years old.
Ah, okay. So you think that the planet we live on, all of the creation, was created? I believe the calculation was 404 BC, October, sometime in early October, at sometime in the afternoon.
Further
So, yeah,
back.
that's when you believe.
Further back than that. But
no,
yes.
no. According to
they're saying 6,000. So that's about 4,000.
I'm saying 6,000.
That's about 4,000 BC.
The reason why I said 6,000 is if you add
4,004
Genesis
BC.
all the way to Jesus and Jesus all the way till now would be about 6,000 years old. That's the position I hold. I don't represent everybody.
Is the date generally set by people who believe it.
So how do you deal with the fact that scientists disagree with that to a vast degree?
Well, there's
Well,
people
my
that
authority comes
disprove
from
quantum
scripture
dating.
and holy God, not from scientists. But we do utilize science. We love science. However, I think science could be biased. I think a lot of times
biased when they've got one thing that says 4.5 billion and you've got another thing that says 6,000. You think there's there's that much bias to be had?
There's there's scientists on both the sides of the spectrum. There's science that are atheists, and there's science that, well, quote unquote atheists, and there's science that are they believe in a God.
Not as many as you think. The scientists.
They don't believe in a God
Go ahead, Bob.
They don't believe in a God that created the planet, created everything in 6 days.
Yes, he did. Of course. In fact,
in
most
4,004 BC.
credible scientists that do actually hold the position of adhering to deity, as well as primary schools.
Okay, you may be right. There may be some scientists who do.
There are some. There's a minority, and of top scientists, it's somewhere around 5%. And of average people like dentists and things like that the creation discovery often quotes, it's somewhere around 55%, I want to say.
May I ask this?
I would suggest that
user, go ahead.
I would suggest that as a percentage of I would suggest that as a percentage of scientists, it would be vanishingly small who believe that the planet is only 6,000 and odd years old.
Yeah, of the ones in the, like
Unless you've got a source for that,
Academy of
I
Sciences,
would
it's
suggest that that's not true.
it's about 4%.
Who are young Earth creationists?
Yes, yes. User, what did you want to say up top there?
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, I have several comments and things, and I'm late to the party, but what type of literature work do you consider the Bible as an atheist?
What kind of
Like,
literature?
yeah, well, how would you classify that in itself? And I've got a point, but I want to know your viewpoint on that first.
I'm not sure what literature is as a classification. I would consider it the same
What type
as
of work?
what type of work. I would say it's a religious text. It's a theological book. It defines the parameters of a particular religion and some history of that religion within it.
Would you consider it to be a historical book or just simply a religious text?
I would think that there are some historical references in it, but it gets more questionable as you look at what specific items you're evaluating. If, for
Okay,
example,
so
if it says something like a certain city existed and we have other corroborating evidence of it, that's not a problem. If we said somebody turned a stick into a snake, I'd say then that basically that's mythology or
so
story writing.
do you so as an atheist, right? Do you say that Jesus Christ, the man, did not exist on earth, or you just believe in his divinity is just not existent?
I think the divinity is non-existent. I think he probably existed as a person who
I think he probably didn't.
who preached and was taken down by the Romans. And somebody decided to basically try to justify and rationalize the crucifixion in a way that did not destroy the end of his teaching.
I'm like I said, I was just curious on kind of somebody had made the comment about dinosaurs there in the chat, and I think, and obviously I'm a believer, and I don't think anything negative about you because you're not. But it was several years ago that my focus or my thought on what the Bible itself was changed. It's more, in my opinion, a book of genealogy. So people want to talk about
there's a chunk of that, sure.
So there's a lot of people that want to say, well, what about the dinosaurs? What about this? I mean, it's very interesting to walk into a Sunday school class, howbeit, and say, well, if Adam and Eve were the first people on earth and they had Cain and Abel, and then Cain killed Abel, he looked at it and said, I'm afraid to go out in the wilderness because the people will kill me. He left and came back with a wife. Well, what people and where did the wife come from?
Right. And so, how do you take that?
So, well,
how do you explain that?
So I think personally that anything that is outside of the lineage of Christ and his divinity, obviously we don't see eye to eye on that, but I personally believe that anything happening outside of what leads us to Christ is irrelevant for the sake of our salvation.
Well, that completely evades the question.
Yeah,
can I give you my opinion on it?
Well, I want to make sure I answer your question. So specify the question for me then, because maybe I misunderstood.
No, you were saying that trying to explain what happened to Adam and Eve and how the son found a wife.
What I'm saying is I believe there were other people on Earth, but I believe their history is irrelevant to the fact of if you look at where the Bible takes us on the path to Christ. So it's insignificant that yes, there were dinosaurs and there were other people because none of that stuff will lead us to the lineage of Christ. Is what I'm saying.
So that leads us to a kind of a parallel people, and there are other people that basically were not spoken about in the Bible, and that there were previous generations, and dinosaurs can be way off in the past, and it doesn't matter to you because it's not relevant to the church belief.
It's certainly relevant, and I couldn't disagree more with the statement that this gentleman had just said.
I just want to make sure that I'm not strawmanning him. So is that the position that you're proposing?
No, I mean I still believe that the Bible is historically accurate, but I think it's irrelevant what was going on outside in the wilderness with the other people because it doesn't lead to Christ, if that makes sense.
But I mean, do you believe that there were dinosaurs in the past, and that at some point Adam and Eve happened? Some future point Adam and Eve happened?
I think they were parallel. I think they were the same time.
Okay. Cobain, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I guess roughly, there's two topics going on at the same time. I guess the lineage and genealogy is necessary so we can understand exactly the descendants of Jesus Christ, and we see how the Hebrew people were extracted, and they were a peculiar people, which testifies to what a Gentile and Jew is, and that's how we get the gospel out of that, because the law of the schoolmaster did this to Christ. But that aside, I was going to.
What do you mean by peculiar people? That's an odd phrase.
The Hebrews were called to be a peculiar people under the oracles of God, the Father, the Godhead.
Well, that's a definition because they were wanderers as opposed to traditional settlements, I think is what you're referring to. I might be wrong.
Yes.
But
my point is that it's necessary to hold to this, because it's not irrelevant. The Old Testament is not irrelevant by no means.
No, I didn't say that was at all.
Okay. I just want to make that clear.
No. So my point was in kind of asking that was trying to figure out, because some atheists aren't really true atheists at the core. They're agnostic and just don't use that terminology or whatever. So again, being new to the page, I was just kind of curious, I mean, for example,
Sorry, can you define true atheist?
Yeah. On top of that, though, I want to make it clear my position is
could you define true atheist
as a whole? I don't believe that there is such thing as an atheist. I believe everybody knows that there's a God. That's just my position, but go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, what I mean is someone who believes that there is no significant higher power, and
that's not atheism.
What would you define atheism as?
That there is somebody who does not believe that there is a divine being.
So a higher power, yeah. I just used a different terminology.
Yeah, we pretty much.
I was asking the other person to define a true atheist.
So if you were to take a pencil and draw,
I was not asking you. I was asking the other person who said that he made the claim about atheism, and I want you to tell me how it. You don't think that atheists exist.
No.
So it's an article of your faith that we don't exist. That's very curious.
Right.
So I know in my heart. So you're presumably going from the quote from the Bible.
Why would you say something like that?
I'll tell you why. Because I adhere to.
Hang on. So you're going by the quote of "Only the fool has said in his heart there is no God," right?
The fool says in their heart there is no God. 1 and 2. They suppress the truth and unrighteousness.
So because your book tells you that we don't exist, then we don't exist.
I believe that God has more insight than us. Yes.
Do you believe there are people who don't like chocolate ice cream?
Yes.
So I don't see that it's really any different. It's just, I don't have the taste for that, or I just believe in. Well, maybe that's a bad analogy. I mean, I just believe in ghosts, for example. So
I think that's a bad interpretation.
Why would you say that we can't be capable of not believing in something?
Well, I think what happens is that we harden our hearts towards God. We don't want to believe that there is a God.
I don't think with my heart. So please change that analogy to something that makes sense. Why would we harden? Okay, let me just. I'm a curious person. I want to know what's true. What's most.
I'm going to say one thing, and then I'm going to go. If you guys can indulge me for 45 seconds.
Go ahead.
If you took a pencil and you drew a circle, and in that circle you were to section off a piece of pie of everything in the world that you knew of, and that piece of pie that you color in is the percentage of things that you know in the world, how big would that piece of pie be?
In the world, it would be a minority.
Okay.
I mean, in the galaxy, it would be obviously a sliver, but
right. So my point is it possible that God exists in that section of things that you have not yet found or you do not know yet?
Sure, that's called God of the gaps. It's called God of the Gaps belief.
I've never heard it phrased like that. So
Yeah,
I'll have to
it's
look that up. I'll look that up.
it's where people place God in terms of explanation into the areas that are still unknown.
But I mean,
It's a possibility for sure, but
are we?
the God of the Gaps never raises to the point of likelihood. That's the problem with that.
But if
that
we
type
wanted
of
to be
argument.
intellectually honest based on gods of the gaps, wouldn't you change the title to Ask an Agnostic rather than Ask an Atheist?
Well,
Because an atheist.
well, first off, there's too many. There's literally too many letters to go across the top. So without getting to a tiny font, so that's why I've got agnostic up above, and then I put a little caret on it.
Can we just get back to the idea that both of you think that the planet has only existed for about 6,000
Well,
years?
hold on a second, Bob. User wanted to finish up and then take off possibly. So let him finish up.
I've got to go give my kids some medication because my whole family's got this flu going around. But I will commend you guys on a very civil discussion and insignificant to possibly your belief. I will whisper a prayer for everybody, and I again, at least you're given a good platform for a adult and debate. So
conversation.
Yeah, discussion. I gotta admit.
Thank you, user, and take to keep everybody hydrated. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. You guys have a good evening.
All right, take care.
Your Sky Fairy. Sorry, thank you.
Go ahead, Bob. Go ahead, Bob. We're back to you. Oops.
I wanted to say, Phil, it's not common.
I'm going to get back to the whole thing of you believe that the planet has only existed for 6,000 years.
I believe that's what scripture says. Yes.
Okay. Well, the fact that it contradicts itself on a number of occasions is neither here nor there. Are you in a capacity?
Hang on.
Are you in a position to stick your head out the window?
Guys, don't talk over each other. I want to hear the questions and the answers.
Can I?
Go ahead,
Are
Bob.
you in a building where you can open the window and look out of the window? Are you there?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, Cobain.
Okay, I'm sorry. We were talking over each other. What are you asking me?
I'm asking you. Are you there sitting? Are you able to open the window and look out of the window?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Is it dark there?
Yes.
Okay. So what time is it?
It's 10:09.
Is the sky clear?
Roughly.
It's a very slow lead here, Bob. Get us a little closer to the point.
Yeah. No. Can you see stars?
Yes.
Okay. Now those are stars. What do you think those things up in the sky are?
I think they're kings of old time. That I'm kidding. That's from Lion King, by the way. I was out there burning balls of gas, trillion miles away.
How many miles away?
I don't know. Far away.
Right, far away. Okay. There is some of those stars are a distance away, whereby the light that you can observe, the light that is impacting on your cornea and is now being turned in your brain into electrical impulses that you then perceive as those points of light, are so far away that light has traveled for it's 186,000 miles a second is the speed of light. Some of those stars are so far away that they have been that light has been traveling from their source, from their point of origin, for billions of years before they've impacted on your cornea and been. Mm-hmm. Okay, some of that light is older by an order of magnitude that most human beings find inconceivable. Have been traveling for so long, so much longer than the 4.6, than the 6.6. Oh, sorry, the 6,000 years more or less that you say that the planet and the creation.
A billion has
How do you explain
nine zeros on it, and thousands have 3 zeros.
Yeah. How do you explain that contradiction? If you think that the planet's existed for 6,000 years.
I'm familiar with the scripture that says he stretched out the heavens.
Okay, so he pushed it back in time.
He stretched it out.
What does
We're
that?
on
What
the-
does stretched out mean to you?
Well, we're on. I believe scientists on both sides of the spectrum believe that the universe had a singular beginning, and it is expanding. Correct?
Not at this point in history. No, we don't. The consensus belief is that the initial rapid expansion happened, but we don't know what came before, if it was a beginning or a cycle. We don't.
Sure.
We don't know at this
But
point.
we do. Right, and that's not necessarily my point. My point primarily is that it is expanding. The question is that why is it all traveling in a certain direction? One, and two is it consistent? This is you know that the speed of light is not consistent, correct? What's your name, Bob? Is it Bob?
Bob, it's right above you. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So we agree that the speed of light is not consistent, correct?
Well, it's affected by gravity.
No, it is consistent. It is well. It's consistent in a vacuum.
Yeah. It is
Right.
consistent.
So that's my point.
186,000 miles a second is.
Then we start getting into trivial
It's almost-
discussions such as
No,
the
we're not. We're getting
theoretical-
into
Absolutely
details. In fact,
consistent. Sorry.
you think the observable universe flatly contradicts your assertion that we have existed for
No, I
more or
completely
less
disagree.
6,000 years.
No, I completely disagree. In fact, I think it testifies to my position.
How?
Well, I mean, things similar like discussions like the Goldilocks zone, for example, how we're not too far from the sun and not too close.
I know
That
what Goldilocks zone is, but how does the observable universe testify to the planet being in existence for 6,000 years, as opposed to the 4.6 billion, which all the almost the overwhelming evidence suggests that it did. And
Was
the
the
fact
Earth
that it's
4.6
observable by
universe
you, that absolutely contradicts the story that you're telling. You can't answer the question.
Hello? Are you talking? What were you asking?
I'll ask you again. How do you,
Pay attention.
I'll speak more slowly probably. How do you square the circle of the fact that you yourself can observe something happening in the universe that absolutely contradicts what you are saying about the fact that the planet has existed for 6,000 years? How do you balance that in your brain?
Wait. So you made a statement, but it's a malnourished statement. Are you going to continue with the statement? So
No, that's it. He's asking you how you square those two things.
How do
that-
you
His
square the
statement-
fact that
the
there is-
statement that
Probably
Bob
still
made-
man his position in a simpler
and see
way.
something, and have impact on your cornea, light that has been traveling from its point of origin for billions of years, when you think that creation is only 6,000 years old. How do you make those two things? How do you make those two things make sense in your brain?
Well, you're saying that because these stars and planets are millions and even trillions miles away, that testifies against a deity. Is that what you're?
No, it's just the age of the universe. It's inconsistent with your
No,
age of the universe.
It's
belief.
not. I'm not saying it
Can I
doesn't
still man
testify
his
to the
position,
deity.
please?
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Can I still man your position? So what he's saying is if we have a star that's 4 million light years away, and I'm just going to use this as an example. That star is 4 million light years away. It took the light from that star 4 million years to reach your eyeball.
That is
Because
my point.
light
Yeah.
travels at a certain distance.
186,000 miles.
Very
per second.
consistent. So
Yeah.
how does that light get
Why don't
to
I say
Earth
first of all, but
if
go
the
ahead.
Earth is only 6,000 years old?
Yes, thank you for clarifying my position.
Yeah, so I don't know how there's a problem here. I don't understand. Just
Wait,
because
Kobe, how old do you think the
I-
Earth is?
well,
He
a
thinks
scripture,
the Earth is 6,000 years
the
old. more or
scripture
less.
says that the Earth is 6,000 years old.
So do you think the Earth was created 6,000 years ago, and the universe was created way the hell back then?
I think everything was created 6,000 years ago.
Right.
Okay, so
Okay,
how
but
do
we
you
know that's
justify
not true because the stars are light years away.
Yeah, but I don't think we have enough science that they would even be able to measure. That's why this conversation is
No, but we do.
for me personally. I don't necessarily.
But we do.
We could
We
debunk
know
the
we
same
know we
thing.
do. How high in school
Now,
did you
the
go
same thing you
to?
have-
Did you ever take
now,
an
the same-
astronomy course?
Yeah, slightly.
Slightly. Okay, so you're familiar with
Right, well, the
somewhat
same
about the
thing you have-
formation of stars and things like that, and the life cycle of stars. Stars live anywhere from 10,000 years to billions of years, depending on the mass of them.
Right. So you have as your title, are you able to admit that you don't know for sure if God exists? And I guess my position is like, or rather,
Now you're evading the question. You're
No, no,
evading.
I-
You're
answer the
changing this.
question.
You're shifting the subject.
Answer the
Well,
question.
no, if you let me
Unless your
finish,
God is just
if
messing
you let me
with us.
finish, you're gonna see how I bring it back to
Okay.
what we're
Go ahead.
No, land the
You
plane.
just made a
Tell us.
statement that we're certain about exactly the stars and the galaxies. But if you want to be intellectually honest, you don't know that for sure because
We do.
It consists of,
We
exactly.
do.
That's my point.
This is the
Yes,
20.
we do.
This is the 21st century. We do.
Certainly is. And
You can follow any
value.
astronomer, science educator on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, and there's a hell of a lot to learn there. This is
I-
we're
I-
not
I-
we're not
I
having
agree.
this discussion
I've learned a
back
lot.
in 954. This is the
I agree.
21st century. We know this stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any particular value though, and I.
Can
I'm
you
happy
tell us
to disagree
how?
on some of
How
that.
is this science wrong?
What science?
The science of how light travels, and this star is 4 million light years away. So, if we were only here 6,000 years, we wouldn't be able to see it. Light cannot travel that fast.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless
But
your
we do
God is
know that.
messing with us.
No. The scripture tells us that God stretched out the heavens. So
It still doesn't make sense.
yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm saying. For me, the conversation is more theoretical, and I don't actually credit the position that you guys take either. It's just too ambiguous and broad for me to actually.
It's not ambiguous.
I don't know,
It's
to be
very,
honest
very
with you. I
clear.
wasn't there.
Can we
So-
shift
You can do it
one
for
to the
yourself.
other then, host? Can
Yeah.
we shift to carbon 14? And what we know about carbon 14 and how we date objects on the Earth?
We probably want to go
Yeah,
with something with a
that's
longer
more basic.
half-life, but sure.
Right.
Conceptually.
It's more basic than that. You can stick your, like I said, you don't have to trust us. You don't have to believe us. You can
No,
do
for
Right.
sure, I agree. But
yourself.
carbon dating has been completely deep. I mean, it's just carbon
Would
dating
you like
is
to
not
give
a
us a
solid
source
tool
for that,
to use.
Dude.
When you have one animal,
No, it really isn't.
Tell me
when
how.
you have well,
You
what
better
happens
bring
is
your,
that
you
when
better
an
bring your
animal-
receipts, buddy.
when
But you
an
don't need
animal,
carbon 14. You just need to open the window. You can measure the speed of light yourself. It's
Mhm.
quite easy.
yeah, it doesn't testify to a god though.
No, it doesn't. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that you can do these things for yourself, right? You can measure the speed of light. And the light that those things you can measure how the distance by using light, okay? You still cannot explain to us how, as the gentleman above put it much more eloquently than I'm afraid I was able to, that light travels at a
I
more or
think,
less
I think you put it more
speed.
eloquently. With I think the accent really. brings it there.
186,000 miles a second times by however but times by that light has been traveling for billions of years. You don't think, and you
Right.
you can do this experiment for yourself, right? You can
Well, you're
see
assuming a
how
lot of things though in that, and I really can't go there. I'd rather not. I don't. I think there's too many
why
assumptions.
because the evidence is flatly contradicting your ludicrous assertion that the Earth is only 6,000 years old.
You're the one also making assumptions here. You're assuming that because of what the scripture says that it's true, and you're assuming that God exists. And I don't get why, and also these aren't assumptions. We know these things.
Yeah, we
have-
also
these
know
are tested and we know them.
These are
certain
scientifically
crystals
demonstrable
form at a
truths.
certain rate, right? There are crystals that only form like ever so slightly throughout the years, and I'm not an expert on this, but we have evidence
that's what
of
I'm saying.
crystals growing to sizes that are way older than 6,000 years. And just this one thing, you can debunk your idea that the Earth is only 6,000 years old.
Ice,
You did the
ice
test on those
crystals,
crystals
ice
too,
cores. Your own DNA proves to you that you with that creation that we've been around.
Wait. So we're one of four topics.
Wait.
The first topic
You just
is
said
that we're talking
you
about
won't
how
accept.
the constellation has
You
been
won't
stretched
accept.
out one. And I'm
You
not,
won't
and I'm
accept
saying that
even
the
the
scripture
evidence
says
of
that
your
God
own
stretched
Okay,
it
wait,
out.
Bob,
The second
stop,
one was
stop.
carbon dating.
Let him talk.
Second one
Yeah.
was carbon dating, which we know is just a bad tool. The third one, what was the third one?
We know
Did
this.
you just ask how? Because one side of a woolly mammoth was at what, a couple thousand years. The other side of a woolly mammoth, when it was
Yes,
done with
because they
carbon
were
dating,
dating the outside of the object.
Now we're gonna act as though we were there literally, or did you do the test when it comes to crystallization, quote unquote? Is what you're saying?
You want to
did
look
not
at the chart up?
understand
Do you want to look at the
only
chart up there
difference
that has a
between you-
half-life of
the
billions
only
and
difference
billions of
between me and
years?
you is that
You
hold
understand
to-
that we
you hold
don't
the
use
credibility of a
carbon?
man that did science, and I'm holding to a reverence holy book that testifies throughout the echoes of time.
Okay.
Which is
Can
nonsense.
I have a moment? Do you understand that carbon dating only goes so far back?
And by the way, Bob, when you
It's-
say nonsense, you're testifying to my deity, by the way, because nonsense in evolution and perspective doesn't necessarily have to adhere to anything that's intellectual. So it's not necessarily
Proof denies faith. Okay.
Okay, whoa. Okay, hold on. Traffic cop. Wando, it's your turn.
So do you understand that carbon dating only will take us so far back? We only use it for so many things that when we look at things for billions of years, we use different types of dating than carbon.
Yeah.
And that type of dating,
like radioactive dating.
yes, and that dating is accurate. And if you want to just say it's inaccurate, please present your papers and the peer-reviewed data. Just don't
If
throw.
you want to say it's accurate, please present the test that you did yourself, rather than the credibility.
All over the place.
It's all over the place.
Right,
It's-
that's what I'm saying. So you're adhering to the credibility of whoever scientist you're following, and
No.
and that,
Yes,
and
we
I-
are. Who
No,
taught you?
I'm pointing-
Who taught you
I'm
not
pointing-
to?
I
I'm
would
pointing to the
argue
facts
that
that it's been tested and peer-reviewed and tested. Show me the Bible that's been tested by anybody that actually has any sort of scientific review. Show me any.
It always
review.
comes up wanting.
No, because he doesn't
Always.
believe in the scientific method anyway. But
Wait a
every
minute.
time you
Wait a
use
minute.
evidence.
Not only do I believe in the scientific method, we have accountability on where it comes from and why it's there. You borrow from a deity, and then you don't give him credit, because a scientific method has.
Wait, what
to
are we-
have
what are we
some
borrowing?
type of accountability.
Credit does not matter. Credit does not matter. What only matters is how the process works.
Yeah,
And
but
all
you're under the
these
impression that
processes
the
are
process will
possible
be
without a
consistent
deity.
with of truth and logic. That's ridiculous. Without a deity, how would you even have morality or integrity in any of your calculations?
I can use logic just as much as you can.
No, you sure can.
It works the same way. The
Oh, no,
origin of
bullshit.
logic does not matter. It's
I-
just like the origin of math does not matter as long as
I
we're
agree
using the math correctly.
Please don't run
I agree with
tag.
you. I agree with you. The
'Cause
difference is
tag's
that
not
you
a
cannot
good
account
argument.
for it.
Yeah, please, no presuppositional arguments, please.
Well, everybody
It's
uses a
inductive
presupposition. I'm
reasoning
sorry. I don't know how you can go around that
lazy.
part.
You realize
You
that
don't
doing a
believe in
presupposition
science.
is a
It's
tactic.
5-1 right now. I just want to make that clear.
I would say the same thing about you consulting your Bible. Like, we are consulting people who are doing these experiments constantly on today. But you want to take this Bible that was written thousands of years ago by people who lived in an archaic time and think that it's fact.
It's more like it's more like maybe 1800 years ago.
We'll say whatever, whenever. It was an archaic
makes it
time.
even- Yeah. You don't need to trust scientists. Open a window.
Yeah. We can test scientists. Can we test anything in the Bible and have it come
I
up
don't have
the
a
same?
problem with
No.
scientists
No,
the
you
things
don't
we
need
can count
scientists. You
for.
do have a problem with scientists because every time we ask you for your receipts, you say, "Well, what about the evidence of your own? You say, "Well, all
Yeah,
of these
yeah. You
people."
ask us like to perform like ourselves the experiment, in which we don't need to because we have people that already have.
Yeah. And if you want to talk about
Certainly,
something,
what I'm saying is you're putting your faith in something that you're not familiar with or
This
savvy
is
with.
not faith.
It's not faith because
Uh,
faith denies the possibility of proof.
yeah. If you want to get technical, your
well, faith is
Bible
the substance of things
defines
hoped for, the
faith.
evidence of things not seen. That's
Yeah,
how I would
the
define it.
evidence of
You
things
have
not
evidence of
seen.
things
So
not
the
seen.
evidence of things that are not real.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we
that's what
can
I'm
see
saying.
the evidence for what we believe in.
Can
So
you
it's not
examine what
faith.
you just said? Faith is the evidence for things that are not real.
Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, is what I said.
Yeah, not real, not seen, whatever. Same thing.
If you
They're not
have
the
if
same.
you have no evidence, why would you use faith to justify it? It's
Yeah,
basically
wait,
telling you
Phil,
don't.
don't you have an image for this?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, you,
Wait, you guys
Okay.
work together? You're familiar with each other's? Okay.
Well, I mean, we've been
I've been
there's
on his
people
panels
come to
many.
the same lives. So, and by the way, I'm looking for another theist to come in, so I'm keeping an eye on
I
the
appreciate
chat
that.
to
I'm
help
kind
you.
of,
And
Oh yeah, I'll drop down if need be.
I think
no.
I think we got.
I think
you're
we've
big
got
trouble.
we've got a space, but
Yeah.
let me find that.
Not seeing is believing, Kimmy. I
Yeah.
mean, really? Name
said,
one other
not
place in
seeing.
life that you would believe that. One
I
other
think
thing in
Kimmy
life
might
you
be
would believe
just.
that.
Wait, is Kimmy
Wait,
trolling?
are you saying that? Are you saying that love, that you can give me a bucket of love?
Yeah, basically, love is a chemical process within the brain. Can you demonstrate love outside
love
of a
this.
physical body?
This
And
is great.
morality
Okay, so
too.
say it again. You can give me a bucket of love.
I
It's an
said, can you
invisible thing.
demonstrate love outside of a physical body? Love is physical.
Chemical.
But I'm saying, so you can give me
I'd
a
also
bucket.
like you said about how without your religion we wouldn't have morality.
No. Okay, well, let's make something clear. Without,
No. Yes.
without
You
a
did say that.
deity as a whole. Oh, sure. No. I'm owning everything I'm saying. I have yet to back off. But what I'm saying, without a deity, there is no such thing as morality.
Why?
It is your subjective opinion. That's why.
No. Why?
Wait.
It's biological processes.
So you believe in objective morality?
It has to be
Okay, but
objective.
can I run this?
Name me
Cody,
one
can I run a
morality
quick
that's
argument by you?
objective.
One at a
Alright.
time, please. Who
Yeah,
am I
please,
talking to?
one at
Yeah.
a time. Yeah, yes.
I got something for Copain. I run this usually by anybody who claims that a deity is objective morality. All right, so do you take the Bible to be true?
Yes,
Do you take the Bible to be God's word?
of course.
Do you take God's word to come from God's mind?
Do I take God's word to come from God's mind? Sure.
Yes. All right. So I mean, I'm not seeing what's objective here if it comes from a mind.
You're right, but the difference is that there's a God versus a man. People struggle with this.
No,
God
it's a
is subject to
mind.
the same things
It's-
that
if
me
it's-
and
if
you are
it's-
subject to.
Okay, I don't see. Okay, so
Aggressive-
that's special pleading.
Aggressive
I don't get
messaging.
why.
You're in the room, so just kind of wait your turn.
Yeah, you can unmute.
But speak up. So does
Yeah,
he's
we-
done talking.
Yeah, we can give her a chance.
What is it, DumbleDB?
Bumblebee.
Yeah, you
Well,
Yeah.
one thing that had occurred to me, I don't know, for Cobain, is there any type of science that could be presented to you that would make you believe that the Earth is not 6,000 years old?
Oh, absolutely.
What would that have to look like?
Well, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure I can be convinced if it was not. Sure. I mean, my
So,
religion is not built
when
on a
you-
6,000 year Earth. I'm saying when I extract from the context that I extract from the Bible, from what I understand, it appears as if it's presented to be 6,000 years old. Can I be in error? Sure. I don't think I am though, and the positions that are brought up, they're really faulty. So it
So
doesn't
what's
really hold.
Can I ask you a question then? Real fast. I'm sorry, aggressive. What evidence do you see in the world that supports your view of it being what your book tells you?
6,000 years old. Are we talking about that?
Yeah. What evidence do you see in the world?
Like, just being practical. For example, if it was billions years old, are you telling me that we just created the internet? I mean, it just sounds ridiculous. Like,
we didn't have electricity.
Like
exactly.
humans didn't like
Are you telling me that we've been around for billions of years?
Billion years
ago? You're telling me that we've been around for billions of years and we just created we've been able to
It's
utilize
a couple 100,000 years, bud.
Yeah, it's about 1850 with Maxwell.
You know, that's what I'm saying. To me, it just
for
seems
humans,
very. It's hard to swallow, is what I'm saying. It's really. I think you guys carry the heavier burden.
Do you realize that though? Like humans, it's a couple 100,000 years, not billions.
What? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm saying I believe the Earth is 6,000 years old. You asked me why and what, and you. If I'm right, you're saying that the Earth is billions of years old, correct?
Right. But humans have only been on the Earth for a couple 100,000.
Oh, I see. Okay,
and we've only had need for electricity for, like I said, like when it was created.
The first written, the first human language is only about 6,000 years BC.
Oh, lo and behold.
Sumerian culture.
Yeah, cuneiform is what it's called.
Coincidence? I think not on that.
Wait a second. Is this?
Oh, but let me ask you guys a question real quick. Phil,
hold on. On just the coincidence statement, James. Do you know if Sumerians are 6,000 BC or 6,000 years old?
No, that's 6,000. So Sumerians would be.
I want to say 6,000 BC, but let's.
I think it's 6,000 BC. I would have to fact check that, but
I'll look it up.
Well, I'm saying, is that a coincidence?
The language, it's the right.
And they also were not Christian, like at all. Like nothing about the text that we have point to anything about a monotheistic religion.
So 6,000 BC. So that's about 8,000. It's a little more than 8,000 years.
And even then, we would still have to go by the timeline of the Bible.
Here we go.
And the Sumerian texts just don't follow that.
You want to hear? You want to look up something that'll blow your mind about Sumerians? Look up the Epic of Gilgamesh, and tell me how that jives with your Noah in the Bible.
All right.
The Epic of Gilgamesh.
I'm going to take a quick second here to circle back to the idea that Cobain cannot give us any type of idea of what type of evidence he would need to see in order to believe that the Earth is older than 6,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what we currently have, or what I would say we currently have, is a preponderance of evidence for this, right? So we do have geology that says absolutely 6,000 years, right? Then we have archaeology that says absolutely older than 6,000 years. Then we have ice core samples that say absolutely older than 6,000 years. Then we have astronomy, which says absolutely over 6,000 years. So we're having a huge, across many, it's not one professional or one group of professionals somewhere. We have multiple disciplines that all seem to be coming up with the same answer. And that is that the Earth is older than 6,000 years.
And the aging is pretty consistent.
All these different types of disciplines, and across all these different types of science and specialities.
Well, that's your assertion.
None of that is convincing.
You're supposed to bring the receipts from the discussion.
Assertion.
Yeah, but
you can observe these processes.
This dialogue that we're having is about, a little more substance than just the assertion. Of course, I hear you. That's the position. Of course, I know that
you can observe these processes
but I am
with your own eyes.
I am
We're going to bring another
where your bar for belief is.
I would agree. It's like 5 on 1.
This is the easiest one. This is the easiest one. And if you are saying that evidence is not sufficient, but the evidence for my belief is, then I don't think that you
I'm asking you, what is
any other point.
We can't have this argument. I
I
think
would
you made a
say
very good point.
that one thing you should look into is how a lot of evolutionary biologists today are Christian, and they would disagree with you 100%.
Well, that's okay. My religion is not based on the age of the earth. The primarily is that I know that there is a deity of God, and I know who He is, Jesus Christ. That's my position.
Yeah, but like all we're saying is that you can still like believe in God and everything, but like the belief that in creationism that the Earth is only 6,000 years old is
Sure.
refutable
It's
and
absurd.
has
Sure. And again, I'm not the most savviest when it comes to that discussion. But I will say though that I've yet to be convinced in the small study that I've had, and yeah, that.
Have you
Well,
ever
but it's
read?
not-
Have you ever read
it's
a
not-
book or watched a YouTube on the origin of the universe?
I've watched it, yeah, for sure. On both sides, and again, I mean, what good is it if I convince the whole world about a deity, but there is no deity? And what good is it if I convince the whole world that there is no deity, yet there is? I prefer truth. Is when I'm not biased on any of these positions. I'm convinced that you guys bear the bigger burden without recognizing a deity as a whole.
Why do we bear the burden?
you're trying to
Okay,
assert
let's
a
back this
positive.
up.
How do we have the burden
Let's
of
back
proof?
it up and make one thing.
It's more than a coincidence. The University of Nature testifies to it. The fact that fact that the Earth is tailored for inhabitants, the energy that whether it's a deity or energy that we came from created eyes and ears, that's not a coincidence. And then we have a spouse, which creates a family, and poetry and art and music and love. These things
Okay, bro, I'm gonna stop you right there.
You need to do research because we know
You're
how
starting
the
from a
unformed.
very bad
Even doing
position.
research would testify to a deity because it testifies to an
Okay.
intelligence.
Okay. Hold on. Aggressive estrogen. Go ahead and respond.
So here's the thing: if you are the one making the assertion, then you are the one who has to provide ample evidence for it.
The difference
cannot
between me and
prove
you
a
is I
negative.
provided it without the
Cobain, do
assertion.
not
Hold
speak
on,
over me.
Cobain. Hold on,
You
Cobain.
provided an assertion.
No.
No.
Aggressive.
Wait,
Absence of belief
everybody
is
stop.
not
Everybody
an assertion.
stop. Let aggressive estrogen finish her comment, please.
So an absence of belief is not an assertion of a positive belief. Let's say I told you that there are unicorns. I am now making an assertion. Unicorns are real. Can you, Cobain, prove me wrong?
Exactly. That's my point. Aggressive is that the assertion that you're making is you're not genuine about it. If I'm genuine about my position, you
Doesn't
don't
matter
really-
if it's genuine. This is a
Well,
this
it
is
does, and I'll
this
tell
is
you
a
why,
logic
because-
puzzle, honey.
No,
So if I were to tell
it does
you-
matter is because it would have explanatory power, whereas you're not going to possess explanatory power with your fake
Ooh,
unicorn.
just wait till I
And
get there, babe.
and your assertion as well is just an assertion, whereas mine has a little more substance. When I say
Okay, you're getting
Just
way
let
ahead of
aggressive
it.
finish.
You're getting way ahead of it. So if I were to tell you again, if I were to say unicorns are real, can you prove me wrong?
Yes or no, dude?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it my turn to talk? Okay, I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. It's such a hypothetical
Yes or
that
no?
Doesn't matter, yes or no.
absolutely can prove you wrong.
Okay.
100%.
You could prove me wrong. How would
Absolutely.
how would you go about doing that?
That's what I'm saying. I do not want to entertain this discussion. It's so below, like, just intelligence.
What is it
Not
with like
below.
Christians and
This is a
hypotheticals?
logic
man?
exercise. If you
It's not a
cannot
logic
apply the
exercise
same
because you're not
logic
going to
to
defend the
your
position of a
own-
unicorn, though. That's what I'm saying. So why even go down
But
this road?
you're not
If I press
engaging.
you-
Okay, you're not
if I
engaging
press
with the
you on
logic
it-
puzzle, so you don't even know if your assertion is true.
Watch this.
Correct.
You ask me to
So
give
just-
you more substance than just
maybe
an assertion.
okay.
So my substance is that the Earth is tailored for its inhabitants, which is more than a coincidence. Whereas I ask you about your unicorn, you have nothing, no explanatory power to back it up. Come on, what are
okay.
we doing here? Can
I've
we get
seen
somebody else
one.
that can actually
I've
have
seen
a
one.
better discussion?
We have certain bones that look like it. I mean, this is completely plausible. Can you prove me wrong?
Phil,
Again,
really?
Cobain, this is so easy. And this is my problem with
It's
it.
so ridiculous.
When we
Yeah,
give you
unicorns
a
are, like, mentioned in the
preponderance
Bible,
of
dog.
evidence,
Yeah, there are unicorns in the Bible, by the way.
when I
Oh, yeah.
lob
It's a
you
rhino, by the way.
the easiest thing it's oh Lord. Okay. So are you going with yes, you can disprove it?
No, I don't have to disprove it. There is a such thing as unicorn. It was called a unicorn before the 1800s, or what was
I don't
it?
think
And
he's going to participate in good
it
faith
was a
with you.
rhino that had a horn that had one horn.
I'm talking about a horse with a
Come again?
golden horn coming out of its head.
That shit's rainbows, bud.
But what about it?
Can you prove it doesn't exist?
Absolutely.
How would you go about doing that?
Well, give me some explanatory power on your position on why it would exist.
No. That's not how this works.
Why
You don't
not?
have any. That's not just an assertion.
I actually did present some, whereas you're not presenting some for your little unicorn.
Okay, but listen, I can tear all of your arguments apart.
Yeah,
But it's not worth my time to do it if you
Even
can't
your-
follow
even-
this
even-
thought
even
experiment.
you making a statement that you can tear all
The
my
world
arguments
couldn't
apart
exist. There wouldn't be. There would be no
it
no
testifies to a
complexity,
deity.
no
You have to
nothing
understand
without
that.
unicorns.
Yeah, unicorns are the necessary,
Yeah, they're the
necessary for
It's the
our
reason things
existence.
exist.
Yeah,
How would
unicorns
you
are
get
the
to a
necessary-
Pegasus if it
necessary
didn't start with a
precondition
unicorn?
for all of existence, logic, and knowledge.
Estrogen, now you're just toying with
I
it.
can't do this. Yeah, no, this is ridiculous.
What do
Well,
you
I think
think
he
the
knows.
Vikings
God,
drinking
the
horns
point
were
is
carved out of?
That
I,
your
I've
God.
by the way,
should-
Cobain, I've invited 2 people to come in and be on your side here, but they have not been willing to come on in. So I'm
No
trying.
peace.
I'm trying.
Hey, well, I will say though, this platform actually
I just
allows
think
there
this
to
is
be
really
discussions
easy.
between
Kimmy and
It is.
Londo, I gotta say no. I
We're the
want to keep a
majority
seat
of-
open for a theist. Sorry.
So the whole point
mean-
of this, Cobain, is to show you that your God is the unicorn.
Of course, no, I certainly understand, but the thing is that you do not have explanatory power on your position,
you.
which makes it ridiculous.
We literally all just explained it to you.
You explained a position of explanatory power, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
We talked about the horns from the Vikings. We talked about the carvings of the Pegasus. We've given a ton of explanatory power.
What, you
here.
said the Vikings?
Cobain, listen.
Yeah,
Wait, come on, one
We're
at a time.
attributing-
Really?
Okay. Well, we're
We're
attributing.
trying to help you
this
here, boy.
unicorn-
We're trying to help you.
Listen,
When you
we're
define-
attributing this
5 people at a
unicorn with the
time.
same attributes you attribute your God with, because you have
They're not even remotely
no proof
close.
that your God holds these
Just
abilities.
within the first sentence of the Bible, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. 'Cause it possesses time, space, and matter. There's intelligence behind it. Whereas your unicorn, it
I can
possesses
also write
nothing.
down in a book that a unicorn created the universe, right?
Exactly, and see how far that would go. Whereas my book echoes throughout time to be the most sold book.
No,
in
it doesn't.
on the
Humans
earth.
haven't even been around that
popular.
long, and the Earth is
Right.
older than 6,000 years, so it has not echoed through
Yeah,
time.
because you were there in the beginning.
So
Again,
if you're trying
I'm
to
going
say
back to my
because it's
original
popular-
argument of if we show you a preponderance of evidence
But
that
you're not.
something
That's the thing.
is
I don't entertain
untrue,
hypotheticals.
and you reject that, then the way you are willing to, where your bar of evidence is on anything that goes against what you currently believe, is a bar that cannot be hurdled. Because we literally lobbed you the easiest one about the Earth being 6,000 years old.
You're self-refuting
That's
yourself.
the
every
easiest
time.
one.
It's so easy. Like you're refuting yourself. You do not.
Bias
hold-
within this
I have
one is-
yet to refute
Here's your
myself, sir.
position. Okay, here's
We're
an
not
answer. Here's
making
an
a
answer.
positive.
Okay, wait.
statement when it comes to-
Stop. Hold on. I'm curious here. Cobain, how is she refuting herself?
Okay, is your position so weak that you can't actually present your actual position to refute me? That you have to make up a bogus position? I don't understand.
She's
I'm
trying.
not-
She's trying to make a logical point here.
I
Correct. I'm
understand, but
trying to
it's a
teach
fallacy,
you
and
logic.
it falls on its face from the beginning.
She's not arguing for unicorns. She's trying to make a logical analogy.
But in the middle of
Literally
the analogy,
shove
she's
anything else in there.
legitimately arguing for a unicorn, though.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
He said that you're not arguing for a unicorn, but in the middle of your argument, you're arguing for a unicorn.
Yeah, but the unicorn means nothing,
I
man.
understand that, but it does mean something in her argument.
Okay.
See that?
I say, hold
He
on.
doesn't get it.
Thor exists, as does Odin.
Why don't you present your actual position rather than making up ones?
She's trying to
I'm
make a
freaking trying
point that there's a flaw
understand.
in your logic, and she's
Let's
trying
go
to
ahead and do this.
point it
And
out to you.
I don't
Are
have
you an evolutionist?
a positive. Well,
I am.
honestly, let's be for real for a minute.
Are you
Although
an
I'm
evolutionist?
almost unwilling to go on this side quest, but there is no way that you cannot believe in incredibly rapid evolution, way faster than any scientist has ever.
So you believe in natural
proposed it is,
selection?
and believe that the
Yeah.
Earth is 6,000 years old.
Right. So you
Those
believe in
two
natural
things would
selection?
not be possible together.
So you
So
believe in natural selection?
I'm circling
natural
back. As I
selection's a
said, I'm not
phenomenon that
necessarily going to go
occurs.
on this side quest.
And
'cause
you know
I
why
would
you
like to
won't?
circle back to
Whereas
Thor.
I see it. No, notice how I did go on the side quest, whereas you won't, because your position is so weak.
Because you're
No,
you're
no,
pivot. You're
because
not
your
okay,
base
okay,
going on a
is
side
wrong.
quest is
Your
pivot.
premise
You're
is
pivoting.
Who am I
wrong.
talking to?
If the premise is wrong, we can't
Who
even
am I
move
talking
forward.
to? I mean, why do we have to
Because
save each
nothing
other?
you come up with, it's literally
I
happenstance of whether
literally
it's
asked
right or
you a
wrong.
question about your position, and you can't even answer it. So what are you talking about?
Can we switch to one of his assertions?
This
Then
is like arguing with a Martian.
he's
And
not
now
going to
somebody
participate.
else
He
said it.
doesn't. Okay, I'm trying to show you
No,
that the
I know
evidence
what
is
you're
on
trying
the
to show me. He's not
person.
going to
I'm trying
participate.
to.
I mean, can you prove to me that Thor doesn't exist?
So you're saying that natural intelligence? I'm saying that natural selection selects.
No side quests, Cobain. No more side quests. Here we are. Can you prove to me that Thor doesn't exist?
So you're telling me that natural selection selects so sophisticatedly? Is that what you're saying?
You're dodging.
Yeah.
You're
No, no, no.
dodging. You're
I
dodging.
have
Just
yet to
answer.
get
Just
dodging
answer the
here.
question, and then let's find out where
I've
her.
been addressing 5 people for the past hour, and I ask one question, and you guys have to dodge. That's ridiculous.
Answer
That's
her
because you
question
have not
because
been
she's
able to
trying to
answer
make
the
a point about
simplest
logic, and you
question.
have yet to allow that point to come to
After
fruition.
which we can talk about natural selection. But
I want to talk
first,
about unicorns. Come on, this is ridiculous.
She was trying to help you.
If that is ridiculous, then so are all of your beliefs.
But they're not, though, and I can tell you why.
Ah, there we go. But they're
Okay.
not, because I
I
have
can tell
zero
you
logic.
why.
I cannot answer
So
your
now put your
question
unicorn
because I'm
against,
using that
put your
exact
unicorn against my
ridiculous
God.
logic to apply to my own
Did
beliefs
your
and calling it
unicorn
true.
did your unicorn ever say that he created the earth for its inhabitants? Yes or no?
Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
Again, we don't need
said
the
yes.
unicorn. The unicorn part is an analogy. It's just a word.
I know
Use the
that, so
word.
I'm-
Use the word X. Okay. It just
Or
Well,
Twinkie.
so take out the word unicorn and just put the
I
variable
prefer to
Unicorn
use
is
X.
the word
easier
unicorn
than
because I
X
think
as a
it's funnier.
concept.
I'm going to use the word unicorn because it's very funny.
I've
now.
also offered Thor or Odin or whatever
I
else
like
you might
unicorns.
use. If it would make more sense for you to use a
Well,
god,
it seems like
let's
you've had a
use
problem
god.
with unicorn.
I'm going to go with unicorn. I'm familiar with the flying spaghetti monster, but I'm going to go with unicorn because it's a little bit more fun. So did your unicorn say that he created the earth for its inhabitants?
Can you prove that it doesn't exist? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what it said or was it or what it did or what it
Well, I
didn't
mean, I'm
do.
just saying if
Can you prove it
Can
doesn't
you prove
exist?
yes or no? Answer the lady's question.
What is the question? That you want me to answer in a yes or no fashion, but I can't get mine answered, by the way? Go ahead.
Can
What's the
you
question?
prove that unicorns don't exist?
Can I prove that unicorns don't exist?
Yes.
Yes, I can prove unicorns don't exist.
how?
Thank you. You've answered the question.
How?
How?
Go ahead. Tell us how you do that.
Well, I mean, because nobody has ever presented a unicorn ever.
Well, you
Nobody's
said
ever
they were in
did
the
a god.
Bible.
Come again?
You said they were in the Bible.
Well, I'm talking about a rhino, if that's what you're referring to.
No.
Wait, why do you
said
think
that-
it's a rhino?
That's what
Plenty
it
of
is.
people have reported seeing unicorns, and that is actually true.
Many,
Yeah,
many.
we have
They
We
are
have,
actually
like,
written about
thousands
in
of
historical
depictions
texts as
of
well. That
unicorns.
is also actually true. So there are tons of first person eyewitness accounts where the person who actually saw it recorded it.
Yeah, I would need
Probably
more
more
time to
eyewitnesses
explain
than
that,
there
to
are
be
to the
honest with you,
So
existence.
to go down that route.
Change to no, I cannot disprove it.
Oh boy.
Did you just say you cannot disprove a unicorn?
No, but you just said I would need more evidence, which
No,
would
I'm
mean
asking you a
what?
question. Can you not disprove a unicorn?
Nobody can disprove a unicorn.
Nobody
That's
can.
the point.
Oh wow, that's funny.
You can make an assertion, but you cannot prove it.
I don't.
That only took 45 minutes.
What you can say, Cobain, is there isn't sufficient evidence to support a belief in unicorns.
There
And
you
you could argue that, and you could probably argue that pretty well. But you can't say they absolutely don't exist. And if I say they absolutely do exist, it is then on me, not you, to prove that it exists. Because I'm the one making the positive assertion. Because you cannot prove a negative.
Okay, so what's your point?
It's the same as your God, man.
Right to the water trough, man. Right to the water trough.
I don't bear the burden of proving
All
my
right.
God. You bear the
Guys,
burden
I'm going to
of
leave this to
disproving my
you
God.
to explain this because my people are starting to roll in and they're not used to seeing me in boxes in this way. So before I cause an entire scandal, I am going to drop.
I don't know
But-
anything about
All right,
what
nice
that means.
talking to you, aggressive.
Thank you for letting me up.
Nice.
I would
Yeah, you have a good one.
Come by again
like-
sometime.
address Cobain's argument from popularity.
Who's left? Let me
So-
see.
Just because there's a bunch of people that buy into this religion does not mean a thing, because I could go out and bring you 1,000 people that would swear they saw Warren Jeff commit miracles right in front of them.
I agree.
So
I
so
agree
what
with
does
that.
popularity prove? You said earlier that why is it the most bought book in the world? Blah blah blah. What does that matter?
Well, it matters because I'm striking your conscience. Me and you know that there's a lot of people who say faulty things. Now, I'm going to strike your conscience, okay? So just because they say faulty things, does that mean that we just completely forsake logic and rationality? Of course not. We're going to use our senses to discern and determine whether or not it's factual or not. And what I'm saying is that we know, using our discernment and our credibility, if we had to be intellectually honest, that there is no unicorn and that there is a God. Why do we say that there's a deity? First of all, the deity describes himself as being a spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Second of all, if you're telling me that by evolution standards and natural selection would select so sophisticatedly that it creates an earth that's tailored for its inhabitants, that's more than mere coincidence.
I wouldn't say
Wait a
tailored.
minute. Wait a minute.
The Earth was not
Slow,
created.
slow down a little bit, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Wait.
Let people respond to your points.
The Earth was not created for us. We evolved to live on the Earth.
Exactly. Watch how much faith it takes to believe that. We evolved in a place that is specifically designed, that is not only appeasing to our eyes,
require any
our
faith.
ears, our stomachs. Also, we have relationship with male and female, and we create children. You're saying that this is a mere coincidence that is not
We can
sophisticated.
observe them.
He's using a
You're
tag.
using inductive reasoning, right?
again?
Your assumption is that there must be a deity, right? It's called inductive
Absolutely.
reasoning.
Absolutely.
You take your belief, and you say, how can I prove that this thing exists?
No.
So you're
I-
shooting the arrow and then drawing the bullseye around it.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not going to allow you to even have that much space. You know that there is a deity because of sophistication and the uniformity of nature, but you do not want to recognize that there is a deity because if there is a deity, then you're subject to things like morality.
No.
No. Oh, well, we can get on. Okay, right. So we
We
can get
can
on
prove
to
right
the idea
now
that
that we're not subject to
without God there is no morality.
The story of Earth.
We can go there if you like.
It would be considered a subjective opinion. Am I correct?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's an opinion, just like
Fine, so there
morality.
is no such thing as morality without a deity, correct?
No,
Correct.
that's not true.
Correct. No, that's definitely correct. That's true.
That is not
How do
true.
you have morality without a deity?
You wouldn't even know
just-
what's right or wrong with what's
Opinion.
Jesus.
Morality is something that is human. It is something that is a construct of humanity to abide by certain rules within society.
Our biology.
But at the
Not
same
true.
time, every
Not true.
sentence you say, you self-refuted yourself because you're adhering to an absolute truth claim. Right
No,
now,
I'm
if I
not.
ask you if
There
that's
is
okay,
no absolute truth.
is that
There's
true?
no absolute. Name me
Is that
one
true?
morality that's
Is that
absolute
true?
and
The
objective.
science is false.
Is
It's
that
all,
true?
It's all educated
Name
guesses.
me. Answer my question first.
James, is that true?
Yeah. Name me one
You don't
objective
see how you
morality.
just self-refuted yourself?
No.
Name me one
No,
objective
you
morality.
just said there's no such thing as absolute, right?
There's no
That's-
absolute.
There's
Okay,
no
is
truth
that true?
other than Jesus.
Cobb,
Is that
stop.
true?
Cobb, stop trying to pre-sup. Stop trying to do a Darth Dawkins or any of those craps. Stop being a pre-sup.
Who are you talking to? Me?
What?
Yes, you. Whoever's
Stop
doing the
being rude.
pre-sup.
Listen.
shit.
Stop trying to be a scientist.
Stop-
Okay?
Stop being rude.
Stop being a scientist. Okay. The reality is that we adhere to objective reality. He just said that we do not, and that's a truth claim. And the fact that he just self-refuted himself.
Stop
I
being a
said,
pre-sup.
I said absolute truth.
We all have precepts. Stop. But you don't even know what you're talking
He's
about.
saying
man.
100% truth. Not talking, not 99.9, talking
Yeah.
100%.
This guy's like throwing like 3-pointers out of the court. Like you're just saying like nothing burgers
Yeah,
Jesus.
too.
You gotta
Pretty good.
like
Throwing up bricks.
So
Make it
okay,
mean.
let's
the Angel Reese burger.
Can't he
Anyways.
can't name me one morality that's objective.
Biology.
Frankly.
Not one. That's not morality.
Well,
You
man in the
literally
dress,
just
right?
self-refuted yourself just right now. You're asking me to adhere to an objective reality. Like that's just weird. I don't see how you don't recognize what you're doing right now.
Adhere to
God,
it.
Jesus.
Let's
Adhere to
I-
or reality.
You're asking me to adhere to an objective morality by making a truth claim. You're saying that I'm wrong, correct?
What is?
I
I
don't
don't
think those
get what
words
you're trying to
mean
say.
what they say.
Can somebody steel man this for me because he's not
no,
making.
we're
any
not.
sense.
We're not asking you to adhere to an objective reality. Atheists generally are convinced that that morality is subjective.
And they
Right,
believe
so
that
no
apes
such thing
turned
as-
into man, right?
So let's
No.
go. Hold on, everybody. Let's go to the top here. The Father God.
Jesus Christ, Father God.
Yeah, welcome in. Welcome in. So what's your position here?
Oh, I think atheists are all fools. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Can you
being
say
real
that?
with you.
Can you say that a little more politely?
Well, I mean, that's
a little bit-
unwise.
a
I mean,
little
you're all
bit
unwise
impolite.
people.
Because your own Jesus would forsake your behavior.
I
right
just put like 4 books
No,
up top.
Jesus called them
Died on the
fools.
cross
You
for
know
us, by the way.
that
In other words, he would spit you out his mouth.
Jesus
he died on
called
the
them
cross
fools,
for
just so you know next time you don't sound foolish.
If you want to argue scripture, we can do that too.
Oh,
Yeah, we can
I'm
do
ready.
that.
Let's do it.
All right, can we continue?
You want me to show you the
continue
scripture
with
where Jesus
what
called
Phil
them
wa-
fools?
Je-
And
Jesus,
Paul called them
Jesus,
fools too?
Jesus.
No, we're on a
if
different.
somebody says you're a fool, does that make them a fool? Just because
Absolutely.
just because they are
If the
called
Bible
one?
calls you a fool, and it says in Psalms 53:1, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, and they have done abominable sins, and there is none that does good. I'm going to go with what the word of God says, because it sure hasn't
Wow.
been proven wrong yet.
What's it say in the
Okay.
Old
Do you
Testament?
also think you shouldn't touch women who are menstruating?
You talking
At
about the
all.
Old Testament?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, you don't follow the
You
Old
just
Testament.
Oh,
quoted
no,
it.
we in the New Testament. That's why you have an old and a new.
No,
you
that
just
is not.
quoted the Psalms.
I mean, that's
which
common
is
sense.
The Old
Say,
Testament.
what did Jesus say? He
You
said,
go
"I
by
have
in your
come
company
not
your
to
old laws,
abolish
or you
the
go by the
old
new
law."
laws?
Wait, one sec.
And
Okay,
and
Jesus, you would
Do we call
adhere
it the
to
Gulf of
New
America
Testament?
or the Gulf of Mexico?
I'll call it the Gulf of Mexico. But Jesus, do you?
Gulf of America.
So you adhere? So
That's
you,
the law.
No, I'm calling it the Gulf of Mexico.
Well,
but
then you would be
Jesus,
wrong in
do
your
you-
theory.
and
In
in
my
Star,
theory?
and in
Wait,
Star
no,
Wars,
no, one sec.
You're
Wait,
wrong.
I'm wrong in my theory. What my
Yes, because
what's
it's
my
been,
theory?
and Google have fixed it, and it's a law that it's the Gulf of America.
Okay.
There
First
is
off,
a
okay.
new law.
Let me just put this aside. This golf.
If
This
they change the
let
speed
me
from
just put-
65 to 70,
Jesus. Let me put this
oh, go
aside.
ahead.
The Gulf of Mexico / America. It is international waters, and the names are decided by international bodies, not by any one country. So
Yeah, but in
it is-
America, it's called the Gulf of Mexico. Now it's the Gulf of America.
That's the
That's
point
what
of
the U.S. That's what Trump
Yeah,
calls
that's what we
it, but
gonna
that's
call- that's
not.
what we call it now.
But
Yes,
he
yes, but
doesn't. Okay.
Why were you able
forget
to
it.
understand?
I don't
Forget
follow.
it.
Why were you
Okay, if they
able to
change
no,
the
one sec,
speeding,
one sec,
if
one-
they stated,
hey,
if the
I
old,
was
if the
talking to
old speeding
Jesus.
law was 65 and it changed it to 70,
Jesus,
would you go by 70 or would you go by 65?
Jesus, I asked you a simple
I
question.
mean, this is common sense.
I asked you,
Sufficiently.
Jesus, I asked you a simple question. So do you adhere to the New Testament?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
So do you think that slaves should be subservient to their masters and treat them with the same respect they do God?
Absolutely. Some people used to throw themselves in slavery. You didn't know that, did you?
Wild.
Yeah. So he's just
But they
more.
were to support their
Wait,
families.
some
stuff
people,
like that,
some
so they could
people
eat.
what?
Many people threw themselves into slavery so they could feed their families.
So,
it's not
so
like
wait. So because they feed their families, it's okay for other people to beat them?
And nobody said it was okay to beat
Why don't they just treat them well and pay them and give them a
How
job?
do you know
and
they don't treat them well?
Because it says so in the Bible.
Yeah.
But
Where?
you have to go back to the Old Testament, even though in
Oh,
Matthew
he's back to the Old
5:17,
Testament again.
Matthew
No, we
5:17
don't even have to go
says
to the
what?
Why don't you go to the New Testament and show me that?
Right there, Matthew
Because
5:17
Jesus said to
says
love
what?
everyone, not to beat everyone. So
you
that's
quoted
not true what you're
Psalms.
saying.
So, wait
Wow.
a minute.
You quoted
You're
Psalms. That's
quoting
the
the
Old
Old
Testament,
Testament to
right?
us.
Matthew 5:17 is
What
in
do
the
you
New
mean?
Testament, and it also
Moral
says
laws don't cease to exist.
to uphold the old law. So he's speaking of the Old Testament. I came not to abolish the old law, but to uphold it.
No, it didn't say uphold. It says fulfill, and fulfill
Well,
means to
whatever.
bring
It's,
to an
I don't
end.
have my
It's
Bible in
because
front of
you're
me,
not
but that's the basic.
You're not gonna
gist of
win
what he
any kind of
said.
little arguments that you got
Anyway,
with the
you
scripture.
quoted-
Just so you know, you're not
anyway,
talking to someone who doesn't know the scripture.
Anyway, the first
Obviously, you
scripture,
don't.
So you sound foolish.
the first scripture that you quoted was the Old
Yes.
Testament.
Yeah.
Yes, moral laws don't cease to exist. Thou shalt not steal. That doesn't just go away.
That's right.
So what does that mean? What does that mean, Jesus, to when it says to fulfill them? What does that word mean to you?
Fulfill means to complete, to bring to an end. Look it up. If you
I
don't know
have
what that
not
word
come
means.
to abolish them, but to fulfill them.
Mhm.
So that's a, so if they're fulfilled,
Wait, so-
then they're abolished, which
Yes.
is contradictory.
No, it's not contradictory. That's why we have an Old Testament and we have a New Testament.
I have
so-
not
no,
come
Jesus-
to
Jesus.
abolish them, but to fulfill them.
Yes,
Not a
because it's
contradiction.
God
Not a
How
manifested
can
in the
you
flesh, and
fulfill
God got
them
the right to change
without
things if
without?
he want to.
You're saying that they're no longer supposed to be practiced.
Host.
Yes.
The word's actually not fulfill if you go back to the Greek.
King James came way before what you're talking about, brother. Just so you know next
Go
time.
back to the Greek. It's
no,
not.
no, wait, what?
He's in a corrupt version. He just read out of a corrupt version that came out the 1900s.
Wait, do you
if there's
only
any-
adhere
Well,
to the
give
version
me
James
give me any
version?
version that you want. I'll switch to it. What version do you like?
No, the host, you read it right. The other guy, he read it from some corrupt version where he just Googled it and went to some.
What version,
the
Jesus?
ancient
What
Greek
version do you
Bible?
like?
Oh, King James version, only one.
Because
only
that's
one
strict from
word
the
of God.
Masoretic text. Yep.
There's only one word of God. It's been there for like 400 years now.
You
Oh
ever
my
research
gosh!
King James?
Came out in the 1600s, the 1611.
jeez.
You ever research King James?
7 years compiled. 7 years it took to
It's
compile.
irrelevant. He had
99.9% accuracy with the Dead Sea Scrolls.
You know what the book that he made right
Two of the
before?
best scholars put that together. Are you saying they all
These
got it
keep-
wrong?
these people can't be real.
You're practicing bisexual.
Be real.
Well, they're trying to take the homosexual parts out, but you can't do that.
No. I'm
And-
talking
and
about
Still
the
gonna
man.
be there whether they
And
like it or
Jesus,
not.
the Book of
About the
Mormon
man
was
who
written in
created
90
that Bible.
days.
The Book of
It is the
Mormon is
most
stupid.
perfect
We don't
book.
Okay,
attend no
okay,
Book of
everybody, one at a time. One at a time, please.
Book of Mormon, like we're Mormons or something.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yes.
your religion is right, but the other 2,999 are wrong, right?
Okay,
Yes.
Bob, I'm gonna have to drop you because I want to let somebody else in. Let's see, you've been here
Yeah,
for a
probably need
bit.
some help, brother.
You know, if you were born in a different place on the planet, you would believe a completely different religion.
That's
I
not true.
wasn't,
Christians
I wasn't
everywhere.
born in the Middle East. I was born in America. What are you talking about?
Many Christians over there in
Exactly.
Jerusalem.
But if you were born in the Middle East, you'd have a different religion.
There are many Christians in the Middle East. What the hell are you talking about?
The Bible primarily was in the Middle East. It took place most in the Middle East.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
That's
we
what
can
the
use,
like
let's
guy
say
thought. That's
you were born
ridiculous.
in fucking old Norse.
Come on, buddy. Watch your mouth with the
That's
F word.
ridiculous, man. Think about what you're saying. I'm born in America. I wasn't born in the Middle East.
I'm just saying, if you were born during the time of the
If
Vikings,
they ain't got Bibles in
you
Mexico
believe
or
something
something.
completely different.
You think they ain't got Bibles over there in Germany and Russia and
This
China?
guy, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to him because he's just
I know you're scared.
ignorant.
Yeah, I'm shaking in my boots right now.
I literally made a statement that
Because we already made him look stupid 3 times now.
Well, we already made you look morally
That's
bankrupt.
why he don't want to talk to me.
There's no such
Jesus.
thing as moral according to your worldview.
Yeah,
Jesus.
exactly.
Jesus.
Jesus. The point. Okay, hold on.
I'm not
Hold on.
Jesus. My name is Kurt. Dang.
Okay, whatever.
Why ain't your username Kurt?
Kurt.
Because I like Jesus better. Jesus
Okay,
Christ. We glorifying Jesus. Y'all talking
Okay.
about Jesus.
Nice.
Jesus is living rent free in your head right now.
Jesus, here's the thing. If a child is born
I'm
in
not
Saudi
Jesus. I'm
Okay,
Kurt.
whatever. Kurt, whatever.
All right.
Question. If a child is born in Saudi Arabia right now, the child has a 99.99% chance of being Muslim. Just pure numbers.
Culturally.
What you think? What do you think? There's not a Bible somewhere there, or
There
they can't
is.
get access
But
to
what
Bible?
I'm saying
Okay,
is
all right.
because
So all you
most
got to
of the
do is
parents-
just read it, and you can be converted just like that.
Okay,
Very easy.
but most of the parents are going to be Muslim. The
Culturally,
culture is Muslim. The child, again, everybody has a chance of becoming something else. But because you're born somewhere, and the majority of just like in America, your likelihood of being Christian is very high, much higher than it is in another country.
But you still Muslim? It's not Muslims down here in America? Is that what you're saying?
He thinks that he's just lucky enough to be born into the one that's right.
You do know that the Muslims are getting dreams over there in Iran, and like 1 million of them over there are converting to Christian. You know that, right?
That's true, yeah.
Y'all know that?
You
know that they killing Christians over there?
Okay.
What's the point?
I don't think you're getting.
We ain't told to kill.
Okay, I don't think you're getting it.
What are they trying to hide if they're
the
killing?
Bible where God tells people to kill. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Jesus told us not to kill. Jesus said, "Thou shalt not kill." That's one of the commandments of God. What the hell are you talking
in
about?
the Trinity, who should you listen to?
Thou shalt
God?
not kill is Old Testament, dude. Thou shalt not
that's
kill
Old
is
Testament and New Testament.
No, but he thinks that moral laws
that doesn't
stay
cease
forever.
to exist.
So
that's what you forgot to mention, Oath.
He betrayed himself the first time he came in here, trying to make excuses
That was a
for
good one, though.
slavery.
You tried.
dude. You just tried to throw away stuff because you didn't like it when it was in the Old Testament, and then when it goes against you, you're changing. You're changing your story.
They had Levitical laws that were only meant for Jews. First of all, I'm not even Jewish. Those laws don't even apply to me. First of all. Second of all, those Levitical laws were just for at that time for those people. That's something that y'all don't understand. What y'all need to do is learn something before y'all start talking. Like, I don't talk about things I don't know.
Kurt,
you know what I mean?
Kurt,
Read the book before you start talking.
Kurt,
you know, you would think if you had better arguments if you read it.
Kurt.
We're not stuck to reading one book. That's part of the issue here, too.
Well, I mean, you can keep reading your evolution, talking about the Earth being 4.5 billion years or 8 turned into million. You can never find an 8 that turned into
All right, one sec, Kurt. So I need to understand, okay, maybe if you could take a second, maybe tone it down a bit.
Oh, I'm good.
It gets really loud. I got my headphones in. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. But I just wanted to understand. So when Jesus says that he's going to abolish,
he said he didn't come to abolish
laws. Yeah, he didn't come to abolish them. Okay,
but he came to fulfill. There's a but. You got to understand.
Wait. No, Kurt.
I'm not done. There's something about to be changed.
Kurt, I am not done.
Okay. Well, we just had to educate on that part.
I just nope. I don't need to be educated. I've already known.
But there.
So
but.
Kurt.
But
there we go.
But.
Okay. So, what do you think abolished means?
I didn't come to abolish the law, Levitical law.
Yeah. Wait. No.
But
what do you think abolished
means? I came to
means?
fulfill, meaning I came to bring it to an end. Hello, I'm God. I'm giving you the right way.
Kurt, what do you think abolished means?
This is crazy. If y'all gonna actually talk about the Bible, y'all gotta get educated.
Yeah, thank you. He's
Kurt,
no idea
what does abolished mean?
I just told you.
No, you didn't. What does abolished mean?
I didn't come to get rid of it.
I'm not coming to get rid of the law.
But there's a but there.
But exactly.
This is basic grammar. But that's like saying, "Hey, I'm not 20. I'm not gonna do this today, but I'm gonna head out to the grocery store." You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go outside.
Yeah, but I didn't ask what. I didn't ask about the but. I didn't ask about the but.
I might go to the grocery store.
Go ahead, Dumbo. What are you saying?
I did not ask about the but. I asked.
Well, you can't just take one little part of the sentence and make it and just forget about the paragraph.
You're ignoring the abolish.
No, I'm not.
What about it?
What about it? But to bring to an end.
I didn't come. Okay, so how about you repeat the?
These are basic grammar things, and you don't know these things. Y'all supposed to be smart too, and I ain't even that educated when it comes to this type of stuff. In fact, I failed in school when it came to grammar, but at least I know
Phil,
what a but means.
Could you read the verse again for us?
Yes, it's Matthew 5:17. Let's read it again. Let me get over there.
I
I'm
got
old
it.
and slow.
I got it. This is King James. Do not think that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
Oh yeah, it's not even abolish, it's destroy.
In King James.
Yeah, just so you know. Next time you want to say abolish.
So I did not come to destroy the laws he's referring to, right? But to fulfill the laws.
Or the prophets. I have come to not to destroy, but there's a but there.
The law
but
or the
to
prophets.
fulfill.
So
And if you
what's the
look at
difference
Hebrews
between
8:13,
destroy and fulfill then? Because if you're saying fulfill means to...
Because he didn't come to break it down. He didn't come to just say, oh, you know.
And what does destroy
I
mean?
kind of tweak it a little bit. I
What
kind
does
of
this?
bring
What
it to
does?
an end
Dude,
to show you how I really want you to
dude,
live.
what does destroy mean to you then in that passage?
Meaning I didn't come to destroy the law. Very simple.
Because there's some people who act
Okay,
as
so
though-
that means that we're allowed to read the Old Testament laws
Nobody
as
said
if
you're not
they're
allowed
as
to.
if they're still in effect.
Yes,
Who
but
said
there
you
are
couldn't
some,
say? Who said you
there are
couldn't
some,
read the
there are
Old
some
Testament?
ceremonial laws that are passed. We're not sacrificing animals because Jesus died on the
Yeah.
cross. He was the official sacrifice.
Yeah, he
But
doesn't
I'm saying
understand
there's
that.
but-
Don't
but-
help them
but-
out.
but-
Don't help them out like that. You got to let them sound stupid.
I'm gonna preach them to the gospel. I'm gonna lead them all the way to the gospel.
No. Let them be fools like they want to be.
Well, so there are ceremonial laws. Jesus Christ died on the cross, and therefore he fulfilled it. Okay. Now the Ten Commandments, though, they're going to continue in our hearts. But it's not by commandment. We're not under the law anymore. We do it by the new Spirit.
Did you know that Jesus gave 6 commandments and made 2 into 1? Did y'all know that? He didn't give 10. What would y'all say about that? Know-it-alls?
I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Just show how
I
corrupt
have
you
no
are.
reason. Okay, I have no reason to believe in the divinity of Christ or God or
Like
any-
you know,
or the
Actual
you ever
Holy
been to
Spirit.
Jerusalem?
Greek means to bring something to its intended purpose.
Oh, wait,
To
Kurt,
the
have you
end.
been to Jerusalem? Did you travel there?
What?
I
Oh no, I
yeah, have
want
you
to
been
go,
to
but I haven't
Jerusalem?
been out there yet. But if you
Oh,
ever
you haven't
get
been able
confused
to.
that Jesus
I was,
is
I
real,
was,
just go walk
yeah.
down
When
to
you,
Jerusalem.
when you said that,
Have a big old
and when
place
you
where
said
you
that, I
walk
thought
and
that
all
meant
this
you
other
went
stuff.
down there. I was going to
I
ask
mean,
if
there's
it
no
was
greater
nice down
history
there.
than Christ.
And do you know, and Curtis, do
I
you
would say
know,
basic paleontology is a little bit
Just
better.
Kurt. You don't have to call me Kurt.
and Kurt, do you know that Ray Skywalker is going to train new Jedi? I mean,
Yeah,
you're
that's fairy tales. That's right there. What he just said.
so-
Kurt.
What was your
They always gotta,
Made up Star Wars crap.
So,
That's something that
so
you
is
don't
your
even
book.
No, I just talked
Fantasy
to Ray
worlds.
Skywalker, dude.
Y'all
I
weirdos.
just talked to
Come
her.
back to reality.
So was
Wait.
your book. So was your book.
Like
But
a little walking. What is it? Little walking.
with that though.
What's that thing they go? What is that thing?
Post,
What is that
did
thing
you hear
called?
me?
No, that wouldn't listen.
The
Princess-
original word was translated as to bring something to its intended purpose.
You don't know
was
what
the
fulfill
intended
means?
purpose of the law?
Was to govern men, but men wasn't living by the
so
government
he came
law.
to
Why
bring
you
it
asking
to
me a
its
question and you
intended
interrupted me? I'm
purpose.
trying to answer your question. You just asked me.
Can I mention something? Princess Alyssa says the meaning of Matthew 5:17 is made very clear in the very next verse. So let me read Matthew 5:18.
Yeah, when you get a chance to, can you read Hebrews 8:13? When you get a
For
chance.
assuredly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the law till all is fulfilled.
All is fulfilled. Amen. And everything was fulfilled.
It's written on our heart, but we don't have enmity with God anymore. We have a new spirit, new heart, new desires.
If you don't even know that we in the New Testament and the Old Testament, you can't make a distinction between the two.
I'm reading
You-
from the friggin' New Testament, dude.
Yeah,
what are you
that only
talking
confirms
about?
what I'm saying to you. Nothing is going to be removed. Nothing's going to change until it's fulfilled. And when Jesus died on the cross, that brought in the New Testament, unbeknownst to you people.
The New Testament did not exist until 60 years after the crucifixion.
Like more like 100 years after Christ died. but
No,
yeah.
not true.
Well,
Not at all.
it probably existed as in an oral form.
Yeah, that's
at
foolish. What do
some
y'all- That
point.
can't be that stupid.
Wait, so if it existed in the oral form, then why would you not take that oral form to be the word of God? Why do you only accept the King James version?
Oh, because
Oh,
the King
that's-
James Version
yeah.
lines up 99.9% accuracy with the Dead Sea Scrolls, and 52 of the best scholars from Hebrew, Aramaic, all put it together. And if they didn't come up with the same thing, it was off with their heads. in
The
King
Dead
James.
Sea Scrolls is the
Obviously
Old
done
Testament.
no
Yes.
research.
Oh no!
Yes.
It's
Wait,
not
so
the New Testament.
Yes,
Wait.
it's 1600s. We're talking about 2012.
No,
What
we're
year
talking
are
about
we
the Dead
living in?
Sea.
2025. From the since
Dude,
Jesus
people
Christ
like this
death.
actually exist. Holy shit. Okay.
I just
People like
proved it,
what?
huh?
People like what?
Kurt.
What era was there?
So
And
if
in
they
Hebrews
use
8:13 it says, and in that he saith a new covenant, he had made the first old. Now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away.
So we
Just
want
so
to
you
use
know.
the Old Testament when you want to, and it lines with your views, right?
No, not true.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. It's
No,
called
because homosexuality is an abomination to God, as it says in the scriptures.
You're
And that
an
doesn't cease to exist. We just don't say, oh, we don't, that's no longer there no more. Because it's mentioned in the New Testament as well.
Anyways,
Homosexuality has existed throughout history, and it will continue to exist. That's
Yeah, well, God burned down the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah as a warning to all who practice homosexuality. What y'all say about Sodom and Gomorrah over there? Did y'all ever go look up
say
there?
it was a fictional country.
think that
or
was-
city.
Oh, it's a fictional country.
City.
Do you know it exists and that nothing over there grows at all, and there's fire, brimstone that you ain't never seen before?
Oh, that's right. We got this stuff. Yeah.
go into this. What
All
is
right.
brimstone?
No,
And
we've
you
been
know-
through this. We've been through this last time. He believes the whole sulfur field thing, fire and
Yeah.
brimstone, blah blah
The
blah.
reason nothing grows there is because it's volcanic,
Yeah.
not because God brought some curse upon it.
And do you know that Grand Moff Tarkin destroyed Alderaan with the Death Star?
Yeah.
Somebody's
I wish we could have.
You know,
I wanted to
so
run
that,
Atheist Baby by him. I wonder how he would have reacted to Atheist
I would have
Baby.
loved to hear I love the Atheist Baby, and I think it should be a sticker. I'd put it on my
Yeah,
car.
I'll actually see. Yeah, I got a job and I make money. I could try to commission that.
Yeah. Come up with the Atheist Baby sticker. I mean, not a lot of
Yeah.
people would know what it meant, but to me, it would be hilarious.
Hey,
Yeah, it could
I-
totally be a
hey,
branding with believe in
no.
reality.
what is
hip-hop lives.
atheist the atheist
No, no,
baby
no.
thing?
No. Here's the better.
Wait, wait.
your
you know when
baby
okay.
is an atheist. Your baby is an
Yeah.
atheist.
No, go ahead, London. Explain to host what he.
Yeah, what's atheist baby?
Well, no, I came up with okay. So I've when I come up here and then there's usually like I think you remember System a couple days back.
Yeah.
He came up and like started spouting COVID denying nonsense. It was wild. One of those real characters. So
it was the same day we were
I
doing
hit
the
him-
sulfur thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you run Christians through hypotheticals, but you only run like the really stupid ones that are like horrible and bigoted. So you just run them through hypotheticals. Like I think the example I use is like, okay, yeah, you're skydiving. Okay, so let's say you're skydiving. So Christians, let's say you're skydiving and you jump out of the plane with atheist baby, and the atheist baby is holding the cord to the parachute and says, I will not pull this cord unless you denounce your Christianity. So what do? Do you denounce your Christianity, or do you fall to your death killing the innocent atheist baby? And then it's awesome. It's just the atheist baby.
Do you save the atheist baby?
Well, you know,
Yeah.
all children go to heaven, right?
Hey,
No, you're killing.
that's right.
You're killing.
Have
the
they been
atheist baby.
baptized?
That's not the point of the.
No,
That's
they
not the
haven't
point of the
integrated
hypothetical.
accountability yet.
But you murdered the baby. So technically, would you go to hell?
Yeah, and also this baby is able to you use morality and speak full coherent sentences and understand that you are in fact announcing your Christianity. So I wouldn't say this baby is like other babies. So yeah, this baby's not gonna get a one-way free ticket to
It's like
heaven.
the
It has
baby
to
from the Apocrypha,
ask
right?
Jesus Christ into its heart.
There
Baby
is
to the age
in
of
the
accountability.
Apocrypha.
man, no one cares about your stupid Christian hypothetical, bro. Just to be honest with you.
In the Apocrypha, there is
Yeah.
where a baby, like a
Like
nursing
Christian
baby,
hypothetical.
talking.
Yeah,
Oh, you
Nah,
didn't like it?
I can explain God's existence in like 2 seconds. So
Oh, sick! Awesome.
Go ahead.
yeah, so everything in the universe is contingent. Since it's contingent, it has to
Oh
have a
no.
cause.
Gonna use
Since
the top.
it has a cause, God is that uncaused cause. There you go.
Can you use can you
Oh,
can you
2
use something
seconds.
that's
Wait,
not a
is the atheist? Why can't the atheist baby be the uncaused cause? What if the atheist baby is the one that did it?
That wouldn't make zero logical sense, man.
Yeah, no, the atheist baby did it.
What if it was Yoda? What if it was the Force?
Yeah, what if it was like some Twinkie?
What if it was just nature, you guys?
I
and there
just
could be
proved
a
God to you in
other way
like
it
2
could happen.
seconds, man. What's your refute?
What? Yeah, and you're gonna say that if I deny, I'm like going into infinite regress?
Yeah, pretty much.
What if there was no other way the universe could exist? This is the way it has to exist
Yeah, with the atheist baby.
by nature.
So, do you believe the universe is necessary or contingent?
What the fuck's that mean?
Do you believe the universe has a necessary cause, or do you
He
believe
heard you.
it's
He heard you. He's
contingent?
willingly ignorant.
We don't
Yes.
know. We don't know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
So
not
since you don't know, to simplify it, why don't you just believe that there's
Believe
the
in your
first
God.
cause or a source?
Why don't we just say we don't know when we don't know something rather than
But that's
just
just
pretend that we know
unlogical.
something?
It's just
Yeah,
It's
not logical.
unlogical. Well, actually, it's not unlogical. It's demonstrating a bias if you claim to know something that you don't know. It is that's demonstrating that you either want to know it or you're making a logical flaw.
I believe it's called an argument from ignorance.
So you believe
Yeah.
that the universe has always just existed?
We don't
You
know.
We don't know.
Yeah, that's just you
Yeah,
do
blows
know.
your
Are you a
argument.
physicist? Are you a physicist? Are you aware
No,
of the
I'm not a
consensus of?
physicist,
Are you aware
but
of
it's
the?
pretty basic.
Are
It's
you
pretty
aware
basic.
of the consensus of physicists on that question?
No, not the. I'm
Okay.
not aware.
The consensus is they don't know.
Right, but you can use deductive reasoning, and
You can
be able
only
to
use
tell that
deductive. You can
everything-
only use deductive reason. You can try to use deductive reasoning, but all
Right.
your premises have to be true for your conclusion
Does
to be
everything
true.
in the universe have a cause?
We don't know because of
We do
quantum
know.
physics. We don't. You're wrong
Yeah.
about that. Read a physics book. However, that doesn't matter because cause in the universe does not apply to cause to create the universe. We don't know if there is cause outside of our universe, let alone the question of whether or not there's cause within our universe. So you've got a category error flaw in your argument right there. So there's 2 flaws there.
And the universe could just be.
Also,
So now
Cobain?
you can't use it as a deductive argument because your premise is flawed.
My premise isn't flawed. Everything in the universe has a cause. I mean, whenever you go into metaphysics, something can come from nothing. So I don't know what you're
Do you know what
talking about.
metaphysics is? Metaphysics is a set of questions. It is not. There are no answers in metaphysics. It is a set of questions to be answered, and then you may or
Right.
may not be able to answer them.
Right. And they determined that something is able to come from nothing within metaphysics.
That's not true.
We don't know that.
Explain to me how it's not true.
No, I would like you to cite your sources. You have the claim.
Okay, no problem.
Swear to God, if he comes back with something that precept
yeah,
Mars,
atheist baby is the uncaused cause.
Precept Mars is one of the dumbest people I've ever interacted with in my entire life.
I'm just wondering. Okay, so how do we assert that the Christian God is the uncaused cause?
Right.
Specifically, the Christian God.
There's a third problem.
Well, first of all,
Like,
recognize
how do you know it's not just?
Second of all, recognizing that someone made a claim that he was, that he is that, and then checking his credentials, his credibility, such as that he fulfilled prophecy.
Cobain. Okay, so it is possible that it could have been a God that made the world exactly like it is, and then planted everything that in the way that it is. Along with your prophecies and whatever, and you think that it's fulfilled and everything, but really it doesn't matter at all. And we're all going to go to heaven, and it's going to be like a nice field or something. and there is no hell. Like, you have no, like, actual way to deductively, induce that it is the Christian God.
Oh, I do.
And I'll tell you, I say I do because I was in the same position as you. I would make the same statements as
Okay,
you.
well, yeah, just cut the meta, make the argument.
Sure, there was a man who echoes through all religions, and his name's Jesus, and he claims to be it. So if you read his story about his life, you can understand why.
Oh, he
How
dropped.
does
He didn't.
Jesus echo through
Wait.
Hinduism,
The guy dropped.
Buddhism, Taoism?
Hopefully he can come back up.
Yeah.
Anyways,
his primary religion. It's not a coincidence that Catholics, Jews, Mormons, everybody, Christians, everybody has Jesus in their religion. I'm just saying. Look,
what about Buddhists?
In one position, you have a debate, but then in another position, we have a genuine discussion that really has a conscience behind it, has substance in the discussion.
Wait,
Jesus echoes through every major religion, and I'm saying
Catholicism is just a denomination of Christianity, and
Sure.
So like the problem with your argument there and bringing up like that is
I know all the
that
problems with my
we
argument.
can date all of these religions, that chronologically go down are just people's interpretations of the exact same thing.
Okay.
And just because that this Jesus figurehead is in it does not so if I were to say that because dragons have been a thing that have been depicted
I
down
understand.
through
I agree.
centuries and
I'm not
other
saying-
no, Cobain, I'm not done.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
so we don't just have Jesus as a figurehead. We have all these different things that
primary. Come on, nobody holds a light next to this man. Let's just be honest. I'm saying let's just be honest. Come on, stop. Jesus, he literally is brought up in every religion. The discussion primarily even on this page against atheists is discussing him. We're not discussing Joseph Smith or Muhammad. Why? There's a reason for that. So why is that? What did this man
Joseph Smith was actually a dude that exists.
What did this man say? Okay, I know you're not going to discredit the fact that Jesus existed as a whole. That you would just be refuted.
I don't have.
We have no proof one way or the other.
No, we know that Jesus exists. Any real scholar, any real person that has that credibility when it comes to the topic, just at all.
The idea of Jesus is real, but I've never seen any actual evidence to support that he actually existed.
Okay, so I just want you to know you're behind the learning curve on that. I'm not. I've yet to come to you. I've yet to address you in that fashion, but I want you to know you are in error when it comes to that. As far as whether or not there was Nero spoke about
so dragons have been so well documented throughout different cultures and histories, dude. Why are we not worshiping the dragons?
Well, they never asked
They're
to
like
be
way
worshipped.
cool. They're like way cooler than Jesus.
I thought so as well before too. But what I'm saying is that there was never a dragon who said to worship me. Jesus makes claims that are really, how do you say, shocking, and not only that, even some of them threatening when it comes to morality. You know what I mean? So it's something that you may want to just consider. Whereas a dragon never has said anything remotely.
And so does the crazy person on the side of the street as I went down the road. I don't think that person is God. Here's the thing. Jesus could have just been a schizophrenic.
Right. A dude.
Right?
So if it's a
Jesus could have not existed. Here's the thing. We
know Jesus existed. That's not a question.
No. Give me a second to explain myself. That we have nothing written. We have no accounts. We have nothing documented at the time during his life by anybody or anything.
Okay. You're just lacking research on that particular topic. Not
from your book.
That particular topic.
Please, no. Please tell me what was written during the time of his life. What was written?
You're saying what was written during the time of his life?
Yes. Yeah. That was actually written, not after his life, but during his life.
Yeah, because after his life, of course, everybody was talking about this magic man who did all. Yeah, of course.
You're saying that there were not scribes. Are you saying that there were not scribes that were walking around during Jesus?
Well, where is it? Where is it?
We
Do
have
you?
none of.
But
We have no.
okay,
We have
Cobain.
no
I'm in.
documentation of anybody
Wait,
writing anything down during his life.
And Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, and all these don't. They
We
don't.
don't even know
they
who
were
wrote
those were
those.
like written like decades after
No, they were
Jesus' death.
published decades
And we
after.
don't
Not
know
written.
who
No.
wrote them.
Yes.
They were published decades
No,
after.
they
Not
were written
Anonymous.
down. They were written down decades after.
published after. Not
They
written.
were also anonymous.
You don't have another like do you have a source to say that they were written at the time?
Yeah,
Why would
the
anybody
Bible.
publish them anonymously?
Okay, you can't use the Bible as a credible source. You're using the Bible to like.
We're
credit
talking about the Bible. The Bible, the New Testament of the Bible was not, the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John was not put into script for what, 30 to 90 years, depending on which one you're talking about.
You're saying that it was not published, right?
That's written down, yes.
And
They
then your
don't
source
have
for that
publishing
is the
houses
Bible.
back then, but you know.
Yeah, I know, but not written down. It was written down during the time he was.
No, it wasn't. We have no evidence of anything before
The scripture itself says
about
that the
30
scribe.
years.
And not only that,
What do you
so
think a
let's say,
scribe
okay,
is? A scribe.
If we
What do you
bring,
think
okay,
a scribe
Cobain,
is?
if we bring up events that we are saying happened in the Bible, like let's say I can't remember where. Okay, so basically Jesus arrived at this certain place, and it said that it happened at this certain time. I think if I remember correctly, it said that like it was during a certain king's reign, and we do have records from that exact time period, and it doesn't mention Jesus at all. Like we can also get into like the Exodus. The entire story of the Exodus has no basis in like, just Egyptian.
You're
like,
saying that there's not a Red Sea?
texts. No, that's okay.
Egypt?
No, I'm not. I'm denying.
This chariot
Okay,
will
I'm
stop
denying.
the
Okay,
Red Sea.
wait, Cobain, did you literally listen to anything I just? I said the story of the Exodus.
He's not
Not
here.
the Exodus,
Like
Moses.
the setting of the Exodus, not the setting of the Exodus. I'm saying that like we have no like historical texts other than the Bible that account like there being these 7 plagues.
Nothing.
We have
I mean,
no
Like
account for
we
the
would
seven
if
plagues,
this
you
was
said?
something that happened, we would see evidence for it. Like we have like
We have
texts
the chariot
and
wheels in
tablets
the
of.
Red Sea.
Okay, wait, no, Cobain. We have
Why don't you
texts
answer that?
exactly from the
Why don't you
time.
address it? I'm
Cobain, we have
saying
texts.
chariot rails in the
okay,
Red
Cobain,
Sea.
we
Can
have
you hear me?
texts from the exact moment, like when the Exodus was happening, and we see no disruptions in trade or exports or just any communication with
Until
the
he finds out that
city
the Red Sea is
where
not
the
the
Exodus
actual
events
sea.
were happening.
Yeah.
I don't know
the-
why you say
Until
we,
he
first
finds
of
out
all.
that the Red
The
Sea is
chariot
not the
You're
thing
making,
was-
you're making a claim that the Hebrews were not the slaves to the Egyptians?
Sir, if anything, you could say that
I'm claiming that the 7. I'm claiming
you
that
could
like
say-
the story of how the Exodus went through did not happen. We don't have any like texts other than the Bible
No,
that
and
say
I
this was
And
happening.
we have no good evidence that the Jews were slaves to Egypt in a
you could
large
make the
amount.
claims- You could make the claim slaves too, but not in. In other words, Egypt had vassal states throughout the Levant, but there's no evidence of a mass exodus. If anything, the mass exodus is a allegory for leaving Babylonia.
certainly not. I'll tell you this much: it's not an allegory. It's not a. It is a literal.
Oh, it is. It's one of the
It creates-
earliest versions. It's one of the here's a great example. Do you know that Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, is completely unaware of Mount Sinai? In fact, Mount Sinai doesn't exist in the book of Deuteronomy. I think maybe once or twice. The Mount Sinai narrative is developed during the Babylonian exile. It's got nothing to do with the experience of Egyptian slavery. It is, by the way, when you think of the Bible, where is it revealed to Moses? It's revealed to Moses at Mount Sinai. You would think, so when it says Torah is revealed at Mount Sinai, you would think the prophet Isaiah would be aware of such a fact. But in reality, Isaiah says, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, that from Zion emits Torah. Udevar Adonai Mirushalayim, and the word of God from Jerusalem. Sorry, but
Host, I'm gonna cut in for a second. I just want to thank the host for having me up. I gotta go. Everybody have a good night.
Okay, take care. Thanks.
sorry, I didn't mean to ruin the conversation.
No, that's great. You added information. That's
Yeah,
that's really
like you're
good.
okay. You're illustrating what I'm trying to say is that we have contemporary texts from like other outside sources that aren't correlating with the Bible.
Well, you just have to put yourself in the shoes of people who were writing it and ask why were they writing it and when.
What? You have to put yourself in and ask yourself why they were writing it and when?
Yeah, yeah.
And what
Certainly
does that
there's.
accomplish exactly?
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm happy to explain if you're asking genuinely, but to Tony was looking
Everything
at
I
the
everything
song
I say is genuine.
Okay, great. So the goal of the Bible and the authors who were writing it, when they were writing it, depends on when they were writing it and what they were experiencing when they were writing it. So, for example, the Song of the Sea is a really interesting one. It's very old. It's probably from the 11th or 12th century BCE. If you compare the text of the Song of the Sea in Exodus, um, if you compare that with texts like the Merneptah Stele, which is a major indicator of Egypt's steep decline, you will see similar language and similar kind of attitudes toward war and the way gods play into war. And yeah, I mean, that's a good example. Another good
Example of
example.
what?
Oh, placing a text in a time and in a space, like giving a text a context. Another good one is, like the Garden of Eden
Hmm.
or the creation story. These are clearly people who are dealing with Babylonian gods like Tiamat and Marduk. Um, and the
Wait,
garden
wait.
narrative.
Say that again. The Garden of Eden, and these are people who are dealing
Sure,
with.
sure, sure. So if you read that the Ruach Elohim Merachethet al Panei Tahom, that the spirit of Adonai hovered above the surface of the water. Um, it's above the depth. It's not. If you get it in the English, you're not reading the nuances that are critiquing the Babylonian gods Tiamat and Marduk. It's wordplay. It's homonym wordplay. Um, in other words, God hovers above these gods, but you can't talk smack about your oppressors when you're doing it. So you create a story that allows you to be subversive but safely. And so for the Garden of Eden story, if you look at Jeremiah 29, he's instructing the Israelites who are living in the Babylonian exile, like, you're going to be here for a while. You should do what? Set up a garden, set up a home, set up a life, have a family, set down roots, but always remember Jerusalem. Always try and get back to Jerusalem. So the Garden of Eden story is this origin story of what they're experiencing. And what's the goal of the Torah? The goal is to get back to Jerusalem. The goal is to make it to the promised land. And by the way, it doesn't make any sense the way the map is drawn out for the wandering, right? Why would they leave Egypt and go through the land that they're supposed to go to the other side of the Jordan, and then make their way back across the Jordan River? Going from east to west across the Jordan River is precisely the path that they would have come as they came from Babylon returning to Zion.
I got a real question for you on this one then.
By the way, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I've heard these arguments again and again that because the Bible depicts real places and real peoples and real cultures that existed, that's somehow evidence for the supernatural claims made therein. And all I have to say is Marvel depicts a lot of stuff that happens in New York. It does not make the Avengers real people, and it doesn't mean that they actually existed and did all the supernatural crap that the movies claim they do.
Yeah,
Like,
no, we don't put our weight on that, though.
I don't understand the jump.
We don't
in
put our
logic
weight
that
on
was
that.
made.
That's not what we're pushing. What we are pushing is the adherence to morality as a whole, the 10 Commandments, which is written on your heart. Which that's the reason why you run from a deity. That's what we're not putting our weight on
Cobain, have you been up here
What?
before?
No.
Okay, it's just weird because I've heard people say that before, that it's like written on our hearts. Is that like something that's written
Yeah,
like, in the Bible?
tells us that. That's why you hear it.
It does say, and it shall be these words shall be.
Could you provide more like clarity? What the fuck does that mean when you say it's written on our hearts?
Okay, the 10 Commandments: Thou shalt not lie. You know that it's wrong to lie, not because a deity told you, but because it's written on your heart. You know it's wrong to kill.
No. Cobain, stop. I'm asking, what does it being written on my heart mean?
It's a legal
I was
text.
in the middle of answering you when you cut me off and asked me the same
No, I
question.
asked what I know. No, I asked what it being written on my heart meant, and then you used that phrase in your definition. I'm just asking what it means.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I literally was answering. You told me to answer. What?
No,
What are
you're like, oh yeah, God, we know not to lie, not because of
The
data.
Ten
Blah, blah,
Commandments
blah.
says, "Thou shalt not,"
What is it?
unalive somebody, right? I'm saying it's
Hey,
written on your.
it's from Jeremiah 31:33, which says, "For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after these days, declares the Lord. I will put my laws into their minds and write them on their hearts." So, it's straight out of the Bible, but obviously that's just a metaphor.
It's not a metaphor.
Yeah, what's it a metaphor for?
It's not a metaphor.
I mean, to me, it just sounds like it's a metaphor for. I mean, obviously, your thoughts are in your mind, so, but it's like there's an emotional component beyond just a written law.
The heart was actually the seat of the mind.
Something like that, I would assume. What do you think that it's?
Yeah,
when you say it's not a metaphor, Cobain, what do you mean?
It's
how do you,
okay.
How do you
Yeah,
interpret
if we're
the
saying
phrase? How do you interpret the
if you're-
phrase?
If
Sorry.
you're implying that it's okay, it's not literally written on our heart.
Right.
But what
That's
we're
not.
saying
Yeah,
is
I
that-
wasn't implying that.
Come again?
Yeah, I didn't think that. Oh yeah, it's like
Of course
actually.
not.
It also
Right.
didn't answer my question
What does it
at all.
mean?
Of course I did. And when it says written on your heart, it means that you know within your heart that these laws are to be adhered to.
Okay.
So,
Well, it's
so
poetic language. I mean, it's
it's
not. It's
poetic
literal
language
language
for
and it's
saying
gonna
that
hold
it's
you
no,
accountable.
Cobain. It's poetic language for just being objective.
That's what I'm saying. It's not poetic language because we're gonna all be held accountable to these laws that are written on our heart.
But if you
And your evidence for that is what?
They're written on your heart. That's the evidence. That's my point. So, because he
So
just said right now
that's circular.
that we didn't address him, but I'm saying you're talking about how we're trying to use the geography to testify on behalf of the Bible. No. Primarily, we're going to go to the commandments, which is the morality, and God's going to judge us based on that.
The commandments.
Come again?
You don't keep the commandments.
No.
Also, I find God to be immoral in and of himself, so I find that to be a baseless argument as it is.
You have no basis on what you would what he would have to adhere to.
Yeah,
as
I
far
do.
as morality.
If you replace the word God with the word Greg in any description of God's supposed morality, he becomes a narcissist at best and a demonic entity at worst.
But there's no such thing as it's actually not a good point. I'll tell you why.
He's a precept, so he doesn't think that we can have morality without God. So
Yeah, that's his problem, not ours.
Well, there's no such thing as a problem necessarily without a deity, though. That's funny.
No, see, I get asked this all the time. People make the argument, and I'm not making yours for you. This is just one I've run into, where people say, without God, why not just run amok? Why not just do all these terrible things, all the things I can't say on TikTok, the top 3 terrible things that you can do to people, right? And I says, I am doing exactly what I want to do without a God. I don't want to do all that horrible crap, and I'm sorry that you do.
You don't account for it, though. You have no way to account for why you do that.
Oh, I do. I actually do, and I can answer it for
No, you
full
certainly
well.
don't.
I think you missed it when I had the Origins of Morality book up here.
How do you not understand that morality is an emergent byproduct of our
It is.
evolution?
It
Because
is
it's
actually,
objective
and
and
the
not
feral children
subjective.
argument proves that, to me anyway.
Yeah, but
Because
the
it's
difference is
objective and
that
not
the way-
subjective.
No, but your ethical expression, your Christianity, is a completely subjective ethical representation of this.
It's objective
foundational
and
sense of
subjective. That's called a relationship.
No, you don't understand.
something cannot be objective and subjective.
No. I'm saying when we talk about morality and we talk about it being first of all, morality is objective based off of a deity. Without that, it's
Christianity
subjective.
is not morality.
Wait,
It is-
why does a deity make it objective?
Why does a deity make it objective? Because we have to adhere to what's called morality. Without a deity, it would not be considered morality. It'd be subjective.
But it's subjective to what?
It is
Okay, so
collectively
moral statements
subjective
are
morality.
subjective to what
It's not even a moral claim.
deities say.
That's all we have.
Wait, hold on. Who am I talking to? What are you asking? What?
He is making
Someone else go ahead.
He's making a claim that doesn't make any sense.
What's
Morality
the
is
claim?
something
No,
that
no,
emerges out of communitarianism, out of our evolutionary processes. the expression that is Christianity.
Evolution has no accountability to even testify to a morality because it's
Yes,
not.
it does, because it supposes the survival of the species, which is what creates that morality in the first place.
Whoa, no, wait. So
Biological
you
morality
you
is the
adhere to
foundational
the
sense of
survival of the
morality.
species. That doesn't necessarily mean the mustache man adhere to survival.
No, but that means that most of us are, and we agree collectively that he was in the wrong.
I would say
what happened is collective morality makes it
believe
subjective.
that the Earth was collectively they believe that the Earth was flat. That doesn't make it credible.
But
yeah,
that's
we
not a
definitely
moral,
we
that's
definitely
not a
don't live in
moral
the
agent.
times of survival of the fittest anymore. If we did, we wouldn't have grocery stores. We would be sitting here trying to rip each other off and steal
Yeah.
things from each
I
other.
don't know why you brought up the Earth
Truthfully,
being
you
flat.
cannot attribute animal characteristics to human characteristics. It's completely
I'm
different.
saying there's so many
We're
conversations.
smarter than them, but you can certainly attribute animal characteristics to human beings.
You just say majority.
I mean, in the aspect of what you're defending, right? You're trying to say that that we're all in survival of the fittest. We are not all in the survival of survival.
That is not what he said at all.
He implied that consensus testified to objective morality.
No.
It's just it doesn't.
Biological morality is.
But he wasn't saying it was objective. He was saying it's subjective.
Biological morality is.
But that right there doesn't make sense. Our morality has to be objective now because we live way different than we did before. We don't live how we used to.
Yeah, but that's coming out of society and out of
like we
growing and learning
obviously
together as
we
a
obviously
species. That's
have
not.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Without a deity, it doesn't have to be anything.
It doesn't have to be anything. We made it that way as a society.
Yeah, you're saying
deity's got nothing to do with it.
You're saying that the consensus will make it. I'm sorry, that's not true. The consensus thought that the Earth was flat, but it's not.
That has nothing to do with anything.
But that's
It
not
has
a
everything
that's
to
not a
do with
moral
everything,
like
because it's
that's not a
objective.
moral stance.
That's an
Exactly.
understanding.
We're
One of
gonna
these things is psychological,
So
one
why
is
are you
physiological.
bringing
You
it
are
up?
arguing apples and oranges.
adhere to something objective. Once again, that's my point.
You are arguing apples and oranges because one is psychological and the other is physiological. This is not apples. It's not a cogent argument at all.
Well, we're talking about the conversation started off with you saying how we're using geography to testify on our behalf as always.
Wait, so why are you still like clinging to that? We've moved past that. All
Well,
right.
I'm trying to get us back to track because obviously the conversation has spiraled out in a way that where there's three conversations going on. That's why.
Well, no, you brought up like that we can't have morality without God.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
pivoting and you aren't even realizing it.
I have to pivot. There's 4 conversations that I'm having that you're probably not keeping up with because I'm the one
I
answering
would
all of
say I would say you'd have to prove first that morality exists without a God. So tell us, how does it exist without God?
Oh, that's quite simple. Society created it over time, collectively. We decided as a species, these are things we don't want to happen because they're bad. Like, we decided, I don't want this done to me, therefore it's probably not good to do it to you.
Yeah.
Like, it
So
really
it's
is
not
just
morality, it's
collective
subjective
subjectivism
opinion,
over
again.
time.
Exactly. So it's not necessarily morality; it's subjective opinion.
Over time of an entirety of the species, yes. And
Time doesn't
not
matter.
an entirety, but
Time
a
does not
majority
add
of the
any
species.
value. Time adds no value to the topic. It adds no time.
I beg to differ wholeheartedly,
You're
sir.
saying that, that throughout time, as long as and not only does time not matter, but consensus doesn't matter when it comes to an objective reality, whether it's objective or subjective at all. We should just get that off the table as a whole.
Objective morality does not exist, and that's
Yeah, there
the
is no
problem.
objective morality.
That's the
Is that
problem you're
true?
having.
Is that true?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's
So
true.
tell me,
You just
so
refuted
Read the damn
yourself.
book. I have it up there for a reason.
You know what I'm
So
saying? You just
subject-
refuted yourself.
Screenshot
though.
it. Screenshot
if
it.
subjectivity, okay, I have a question. Is subjectiveness related to relativism? Can you have those I would say coincide? Can they both coincide each other?
You're talking about relative morality and different
No,
cultures
just
and stuff?
world?
Subjective means to be relative. That's what I want to ask. Do you guys believe that? Yes or no? That's what I'm asking.
No, subjective means it occurs to each individual person.
So then what you're saying is that if I steal this book bag from the guy who's hosting this live right now, I'm pretty sure he's an awesome guy, it's not serious. If I were to take his book bag for the benefit of something that would assist me, regardless of his morality, because you're saying it's subjective, so it's dependent upon oneself. So as long as I deem it right, that means that there's no objective standard whatsoever. That means that as long as it benefits me, I'm okay and I'm all right. I'm right.
Correct.
you're-
There is
you're-
a society
you're
that
not
will have
a-
a problem with it. but
Right,
There is
yeah.
no objective outside standard. No.
Right.
I just want to make it clear that this conversation is as hard for me to have as the unicorn, and I'll tell you why. Because every statement that comes out your mouth is self-refuting, because you're saying there's no such thing as objective reality, and I say, is that true?
Morality.
No such thing as
I mean,
Morality.
it really isn't true. There's obviously a standard because they have land of laws. If we didn't have land
We
of
created
laws,
that.
there wouldn't.
That's
We did
multiple
not create
subjective
that.
people
We took
creating
that. We took that from biblical principles. Most of the things we do in the United States, even the Pledge of Allegiance,
Dude.
one nation under God. Don't, bro. Come on, bro. Don't insult. Don't insult our intelligence. We have an
Wait,
intelligence.
tell me that none of it pre-exists the Bible? Are you out of your mind?
Millennial.
I have a question. In court, when you're proving someone guilty, how do you do it? Whenever you're telling the truth, you have
Thank
to put
God
your
you
hand
do
on
it
the
by
Bible under
evidence
oath,
and not by
right?
You can put your hand
subjectivism.
on anything and swear on anything.
No. We're talking about in the court, in the federal court in the United States of America.
Yeah, you can
We're
swear
not talking
on
about any
anything.
other country.
Wait, do you
bro.
not know
You
that?
literally
Do
can
you not
swear
know
on
that we can
anything
swear on
or
anything?
decline to swear on it altogether.
So they don't
you-
use a Bible. That's what I'm asking you. They don't use a Bible at all?
They don't have to, no. They do as a matter of ceremony, but they don't have to anymore, no.
I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
you
guys
can
were crying about it.
decide. You can make the choice to not swear on the Bible.
Yeah,
You
this
just
is
make
not
an
about.
oath to
This is
tell the
not an
truth and
argument
nothing but the
want to go
truth.
down, dude.
Why
Yeah,
would,
There are
you
many.
gotta show me- you gotta show
would
me
he
proof
be
of that.
objectively wrong? That's what's funny to me. Would he be objectively wrong if he went down that avenue?
No, I'm just saying you're not going to win anything because I, as a person who works
Is there
with the
such
court
thing as
system,
winning?
have done this
Is there
before
such
and
thing as
declined
winning,
to
though?
swear
That's
on a
my
Bible.
point. You keep self-refuting yourself. You said he's not going to win. Is there such thing as winning?
Yes.
You're
If I were to prove
self-refuting
my
yourself.
point, I have therefore
wait,
won.
just
Yes.
because- okay,
If I have
Cobain,
proved the
Cobain,
actual
Cobain,
objective,
Testifying to something
factual
that's
point,
objective.
then yes.
Cobain, we're saying that morality is subjective, not like okay. So I don't get why people do this. That when we say morality is subjective, that we're denying objectivity in any sense of any way.
That's literally
You
what
don't see
You
what
understand
just
that
did?
doesn't follow.
You don't see
right?
what you just did? You just did it, like right now. Objective. I'm saying that you cannot have one without the other. It makes no sense. You have to adhere to an objective reality.
No, you don't.
Oh wow.
So, I
know
have
you
a
don't
question.
because there is no God.
So look. Let's keep it simple then. This will let me know where you guys are with it. Was Jeffrey Dahmer, regardless of how anyone else felt, right? Because you believe it's subjective, right? There's no wrong according to your belief. That's what that means. When it's subjective,
No, we
that means
collectively decided he was wrong as a society.
It's
we
ridiculous.
did not collectively
Not God,
decide
we
anything.
did.
You didn't decide anything for Jeffrey Dahmer. What are you talking about?
We, as a society, those who wrote the laws
Bro,
and voted on
but
them
I'm saying,
over
what
years,
did you
we
do?
decided that. Not
But
a
what
God,
did
not
you
some
do to
objective
decide
source.
that?
Some subjective source of hundreds of millions of people decided that. We did.
Oh,
That's
you
our
put a
miracle,
high
not
number.
God.
Brother, you guys at first tried to call it a scientific, that he had a mental problem. You guys were saying that when he sees shiny things, he gets attracted to it. So you guys are saying because his dad taught him how to do
Which
these
has what
things
to do with
fish.
your...
Now, I'm just saying, right? Because you're talking about morality being subjective. You just said if I took the host book bag for the benefit of me, regardless of his family and who he has to feed in that moment, let's just think of it in a realistic standpoint. Let's say if that bag had money in there that he knew he needed to pay his rent, and if he didn't pay his rent, he's getting evicted. Am I right for taking his book bag? Yes or no?
We, as a society, would deem you wrong. That's subjective,
Who is
not
we?
objective.
Who's we?
Collectively, the society around you that would put you in jail and lock your ass up for it.
That's why I'm asking you, who's the we?
We,
He
the
just
society
answered
that
it
you
twice.
exist in.
Wait.
That
That
doesn't correlate because where did this law come from? That's what I want to
From
ask
the
you.
group of society that voted it into law over the course of years that
No.
created it. We
So
did
the Constitution from the beginning was always voted in. Everything was voted in from the beginning in the Constitution. Do you know your history?
Yes, I do, actually. Fire away.
So you're telling me right now there's not things in the Constitution that were not voted in that was already in the Constitution? Yes or no? Answer that question simply. It's a simple question.
Yeah, I can, actually. Yeah, they met in a convention, and they voted it in. So, yeah, they decided what they put in the Constitution. It was voted on by less than the
No, you said
collective
we the
society that-
people. When you say we, you're saying we the people. That's why you say we. That means everyone
Yes,
gets
we
got to have a
human
majority
beings,
vote.
ignoramus. We, as in human beings, not a god.
And I have a question then. So who created us?
Good
There's
question.
no reason
We
to
don't
believe that
know.
we were created.
So you don't know who created you. but
Okay,
you think
nice
there's no-
nice dodge there, dude. Just change the subject completely.
No, this
Yeah.
wasn't my subject. Morality, point blank period. You guys obviously are contradicting yourselves. Because if morality was subjective, then collectively as a whole, you wouldn't need to come to an agreement to agree on something. And then it's not subjective anymore. It's not dependent upon one person. That's what you guys believe, what you're contradicting yourself. And there's no way to get through to you guys because you guys are literally contradicting yourself.
What in the world are you babbling about, dude?
I'm not babbling about anything, bro. It's the truth. You literally just said right now, subjective morality is dependent upon a single person. That's what you said, yes or no?
No, dude.
So then
boy,
what is
he just said it like
dependent
6
on a
times.
collective society. You have not listened to a word I've said. You are like defending your argument inside your own head. It's ridiculous, bro.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. Your mic's a little muffled.
Let's let Ralph ask something here. Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, fire away.
So I would like to ask those. So to be clear, I do not believe objective morality exists. I believe it's all subjective, and it's by a group. What's been stated.
Is that true?
I want to ask you that are saying that objective reality exists to show evidence of that objective morality. And what I mean by evidence of that objective morality, it means it needs to come from a source that people can look at, read, or whatever it is.
I cannot give you a bucket of love.
Hold on, let me finish. That they need to be able to read, and everyone reads exactly the same. Like when you have an objective standard for what a kilogram weighs, right? You have a standard that's a precise measurement of the weight of a kilogram, and everyone can weigh that and put it on a scale and see that it's a kilogram weight. It's an objective it's an objective standard. So for your God to have, for your deity to have an objective standard, it'd have to be something like the Bible, where multiple people could read that Bible or whatever that source is and come to the same conclusion. Everyone would come to the same conclusion of what that is.
Unless everybody
do you have an objective source.
So that again, you're denying things like love and hate.
I never said anything. We're talking about morality, not love.
Nothing to do with.
We're talking about morality. Do you have an objective source? Can you provide an objective source?
Stop bringing up irrelevant stuff. Just answer the question.
Wait, what are you talking about? How is this irrelevant? Do you don't see the relevance in it?
Can you bring up an objective source of morality?
Can I bring up?
Show us that objective source.
Sure. Are you ready? Okay, so let me ask you a question. So if the mustache man in Nazi Germany, do we all agree with him or no?
No. Can you provide an objective source?
My question.
Tremendous dodge.
Let me work. How do you talk? What are you talking about? I'm not even done.
Answer a question. Answer a question. Answer Ralph's question. Without another question.
No, that's how I'm going to answer. I have to answer. Let me
you're
answer it the way I need
extremes.
to answer it. Let me work.
Answer a question with a sentence, not with another question.
We agree that Nazi Germany was not.
Here's your problem.
That's not a source.
The consensus agreed with each other. Was there subjective? Was there subjective opinion? Was that considered morality?
Cobain, you're talking about extremes here, and it's something that most everyone agrees is wrong, but there's no objective source.
Well, but it's not necessarily wrong.
Hold on, let me finish.
But it's not necessarily wrong, right?
If you want to claim the Ten Commandments or the Bible is an objective source, you need to go through, and everything in there, every law that's passed is objectively true, and everyone reads it as objectively the same.
Is that true?
If it's not that way, if it changes over time, if slavery was bad at one time and okay now, or okay at a time and bad now, that's not objective, and that's not an objective source. It's subjective.
Is that true?
Is what true?
What you just said?
Yes.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Oh my God. I hate it when they do this. Okay. Just because we, can
adhere to an objective
morality
truth?
is subjective, we are not. Okay. We can make, statements can be objective. Morality can be subjective. I don't see how, this is like a gotcha.
Because you're always
we can say yes or no to something.
Because you're always adhering to it, which is self-refuting. That's why.
Adhering to what?
Always adhering to what?
The truth.
What's the truth? Okay, that's an insane dodge. What do you mean by truth?
Morality. That's what I'm saying. If
morality is subjective, yes.
Is that true?
Yes. collectively subjective, but yes, it's very true.
Okay, we're not making saying yes to that. Okay, answering that question with yes is not a moral statement. So it's not subjective when we make that statement. And
So
I'm not saying morality is not subjective when we make that statement. No, Cobain, slow down. Okay? When I say yes to this to when you ask the question, is morality subjective? And I answer that question with yes. Me saying yes is not any kind of moral stance or statement that I make.
You are adhering to something that you were adhering, and you were adhering to something that should have integrity, which possesses morality. How do you not see this? That you are self-refuting yourself with
a statement.
I'm not self-refuting. You're not self-refuting yourself because it's not a moral. It's not a moral stance.
You are waiting for what my next word is going to be, hoping that there's credibility, accountability, coherency, morality in that, all within it. But then you testify against it. That makes no sense. It is objective. It's not subjective.
Okay, yeah, Princess Alyssa is making a great point in the comments. Okay, what do you think morality is?
Why don't you get on the platform if she wants to talk?
No, I had the same question.
No, I have the same question. I'll ask you the question.
I'm not reading the
What
comments.
do you think morality encompasses?
It encompasses our hearts, the condition of our hearts.
Our hearts pump blood.
But that means nothing.
No, not that kind of heart. The other heart. What's the word?
What other heart?
Everybody keep going. I'm going to go feed my dog. I'll be right back. Just keep going.
Your heart pumps blood.
If I replace the word heart with mind,
your emotional
intelligence encompasses. Okay, so emotional intelligence,
the truth and unrighteousness.
Yes. Okay, so
and we're willingly ignorant.
Okay, so when I ask you what morality means, so I'm taking your answer as emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, emotional intelligence. So I'm still not seeing how, if I respond yes to your question, is morality subjective with yes?
I mean,
I'm not seeing how that's
doesn't make
self-refuting.
sense. That would be saying being emotionally intelligent is subjective. Well, yes, of course that is. But I don't even see where that even remotely comes close to defining morality. Look up morality in a dictionary, please.
Listen,
because you have no understanding of the words you're talking about. If you want to talk about emotional intelligence,
but what you could do is you could put a Webster's dictionary of it for the sake of conversation.
So for the sake of conversation, we need to use the same language.
Yeah, sure.
Like everyone else here understands what morality. Everyone else here understands what morality is as the standard definition of morality. You're trying to define it as something completely different. So in essence,
stop making it a primary discussion. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of it. Bring up the discussion.
All right. So can you give me?
We can all have the same definition.
Can you give me an example of an objective source of morality?
Sure. Rather, let's go ahead and go this route. What is morality? You give me the definition. We'll run off of yours.
The definition of morality is the answer to the question is something okay to do or not okay to do is one way to is it harmful to others or is it not harmful to others? Is it good for the group? I'm not looking at the actual definition, but it's in reference to, is it good or bad, essentially?
That's kind of how I operate, honestly. I know there is a hardline definition in the dictionary for it, but basically it's just does this action create harm? Does this action create harm, and is it good for the survival of the species at large?
Or is it redeemed?
Yeah, for sake of argument, Cobain, would you like me to read off the Oxford definition of?
Sure.
Okay. So morality, as the Oxford Dictionary of Languages says, principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong or good and bad behavior.
The distinction between right and wrong or good or bad behavior. That is the definition.
Yeah.
Right. And so your position is that there's no necessary absolute right and wrong.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because that's what it says
That we have
distinction in
determined
the.
what that absolute is as a society.
Yeah, it
Is
says
our actual
distinction in
position.
the.
Even
I can read the
that,
second one if it'll make you feel better.
even with that stated, right? It's still not an absolute. Like in our society, for the most part, we consider unaliving someone else as morally wrong,
Yeah,
right?
unless
But
you're a
it's still
soldier, a
not an
cop, or other.
absolute. It's
There's always exceptions to the rules.
there's always exceptions, so it
I
can't
agree with
be
everything y'all said so far.
it can't be objective because there are exceptions, and there's a vast array of them, and there's lots of different scenarios and stuff, so that makes it subjective and not objective. And the fact that you can go to your objective source and it says do not unalive, and if you say that's the objective source, that means it's an absolute and it can't change over time. But that's like the clear cut one of the clear cut moral issues.
And Ralph,
Like
Ralph,
if you
that's
want to use
always
the
bugged
Ten
me.
Commandments,
Okay, can I
if you
read the
want to use the
second?
Ten Commandments, like you're
I'll read
using
the second
like
definition in a second.
no, I think the first one was
oh
fine. I think we all agree with that it's fine. I mean, is there something
Yeah.
that's added to
Okay.
it or what?
Another one. Okay, a particular system of values and principles of conduct, especially one held by a specific person or society. And then the
Yeah. So
other one,
Ralph,
yeah.
let me ask you a question, Ralph. You were
go
saying
ahead.
that for the most part that it should be beneficial to a person or even a society, correct?
Right. But
Okay.
it's at that
If
it's
somebody,
not just at you. So if you do something that's beneficial to just you, you might hold that, like you as an individual might hold that as morally okay. But in the society, it doesn't make it morally okay because you're doing harm to other people. That's why stuff like stealing is not morally okay just because it benefits you and you yourself, an individual. You could hold that it's your moral okayness, but morality is a societal thing. It's over a large group. And in the society, it's not beneficial for the society, it's not beneficial for the culture, and it's not morally okay in
That's why we have
99% of
multiple
cases.
societies that's moralities conflict with each other. In the Middle East, it's okay to chop people's hands off for stealing and stuff. Here, that would be considered a bad idea. I mean, there's all kinds of different conflicting moralities.
well, we're talking about you were addressing the penalty of them, not the action itself. I think we all agree
No,
that
I'm addressing the fact that it's okay to do that over there, where it's not okay to do that over here.
it's not okay to be a thief anywhere.
No, I'm referring to the punishment. The punishment
No, I
is
know. But I'm
okay
saying,
over there, and
notice
it's not
how
okay
it's
over here.
universal. Notice how it's universal that if stealing is wrong, despite where we go, what country, what city, what nation, what doesn't matter.
Because
From the perspective of the victim, that's how you can tell. Take the victim perspective. That's how we can get as close to objectivity as we can.
And it's still just collective subjectivity.
Right. And
Because
it's in how you define the word. I mean, morality means something is good or bad. There's a value to it, and so the definition is subjective of itself. So then we have to debate about what does good mean, right?
Right, and I hear what you're saying, and I see, like I think on a surface level that makes sense, but I think if I'm being honest with myself, it's not based off consensus or even my personal opinion. There is something that testifies within my soul that certain things are wrong, and it's not even based off of consensus or a personal opinion.
I'm glad that's your subjective experience.
But here's the problem, Cobain, in religions that have everybody of that religion claims that their rules are the objective ones. And then we have differences of opinion, and that leads to conflict. If we all work together and continually debate what's good and what's bad and what we should do, and we eventually we improve upon things, that is more productive.
Absolutely.
One of the ways I've actually come across to demonstrate this, and I apologize if this derails things just a little bit, Phil, but I always go back to the feral children on this one because they want to claim that morality is somehow innate to us, and I claim that it's not. That it's a collection of societal subjectives over time, that we have created this over time of the society. Because if you remove the society from our species, if you actually just put us into a feral situation, which has been done over and over again by groups of horrible people throughout our history, and every time the result is the same. It's horrific. We become very animalistic. There becomes very little distinction between right and wrong. It becomes very much survival. Like they revert back to a very primitive state, and there is no like good or bad, right or wrong. It's just I want what I want, and I'm going to get what I get. Like that's what it goes back to. Almost all the time. The studies on this, the scientific studies that were done during World War II, and for instance, it's horrible stuff. So the idea that it's just this objective thing that's innate in all of us and somehow defined by some inner light is just not the case.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hope that actually made sense. I may be rambling just a tad.
No, it did. Makes a lot of sense.
Another thing you can look at is like even within Christianity that believe in the Bible and believe this objective source of knowledge and everything. It was an objective. You wouldn't have one of the leading causes of people to change churches is because that church doesn't align with their moral views, and they move to another church within the same faith that believe in the same text source because they have a different moral stance. And you have many, many churches and denominations that are based off the same source text, the same supposed objective source, that have different moral claims. Whether you can drink alcohol, whether you can smoke, whether you can have tattoos, whether you can have a whole bunch of other stuff. It's easy to look at, lying and unaliving, the big ones that are pretty much universal everywhere in every religion. But look at all the other ones.
As somebody who was LDS, or who was before I deconstructed, believe me, that Jenga tower falls, and it falls mightily when it does, because you take out, it was wrong to drink coffee in my religion, bro.
Cobain, you have to understand, we can colloquially, agree that something is wrong and still have subjectivity.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But
And here's one. Just even taking the unalive example, there are exceptions to that. There are exceptions in self-defense and exceptions in war. If it was an objective truth, there would be no exceptions.
Yeah, if God adhered to the objective 10 commandments, he would never break "you shalt not kill," and he does that quite a bit.
No,
on a mass scale.
No. The scripture is "thou shalt not murder." By the way, when you look it up from the original text, meaning there's a difference between murder and killing.
Yeah, I love these people that want to define God as somehow able to break his own rules and be okay.
Watch the language. Watch the language.
Oh yeah, we got to use on a live. I apologize. I don't want to get you flagged. I hate that we got to talk.
It scares
like
me
that.
to
It makes
listen
me
to
feel
religious people who make God out to that it's okay. God, they use the "I brought you into this world so I can take you out of it" thing, and I'm like, yeah, so did my mother. That doesn't make her right if she does it.
Yeah,
that's still an evil act.
I think earlier that Jesus Christ dude that wanted to be called Kurt that brought up Sodom and Gomorrah. That's wild that he brought that up. I don't think that you can ever justify that
the entire unaliving of a civilization. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
unless
pretty
you created
bad.
them, right?
So I just wanted to add my 2 cents, if I might.
Go ahead, man.
I'm colorblind, and so everything I see in the world has a tinge of different than what most people say it is. So to me, everything is different, and my perspective is it's subjective. Everything that I
love it
is 100% subjective. There's no way I can get around it. So I can't objectively agree that the sky is blue because it's pink to me. So I would be lying to you if I told you that the sky is blue and that you were like, oh no, it's scientifically proven the sky is blue. But no, it is scientifically proven that there are particulates in the air that refract light, and your receptors in your eyes are unique. So we each see perhaps a different touch of shade, hue, color, contrast, etc. of the sky, where you might generally assign meaning to the color blue and assign that to the sky. For the Japanese, they don't agree either. They use the word green. Green and blue are interchangeable. So that's also subjective by cultural difference. So they see the world in a different way. They comprehend the world and process that information in a different
And by
way.
and large, this happened on a societal level too. Like blue itself
Absolutely.
as a color didn't exist in the common mindset before a certain time frame. I forget when it was, but like the guy who taught me most of what I know about religion was actually colorblind as well, and it's part of what led me to like question a lot of things, because I realized that he genuinely saw the world differently from me, and so like this question actually led to part of my deconstruction. So I'm glad to have you, man.
Whereas that would lead to my construction, because him being colorblind testifies to something that's not necessarily, how do I say, we recognize that having color would be more of the idea, correct?
What?
You mean ideal?
The ideal?
Yeah, it's more ideal to see color.
I think
It's more ideal to have an accurate representation of reality. Yes.
Right. I'm saying, so that testifies to an absolute objective. So I'm saying
moralities are different than physical. Objective moralities are different than objective physical things. One is a value concept. That's an abstract concept.
The point is that he got deconstructed, whereas I would not have got. I would have got more constructed.
No, it just led me to question.
Yeah,
things.
that's too bad. That's unfortunate, because his beliefs are more aligned with reality. That's unfortunate for you.
Well, there's no such thing as objective reality, though, so it doesn't really matter.
How in the world is there no such thing as objective morality? Or I mean reality, sorry. There is definitely an objective reality. We all live in it, bro.
Yeah.
I just demonstrated.
You're just proving my case even more.
Not true.
So Cuban,
least from
the
my
only thing
perspective.
that gives evidence to, and no shade on you, Paul, at all, is that the creation is not perfect, because there's someone out there, and the ideal way would be to see color and reality and what it is and stuff, but he's colorblind. And therefore, the only evidence
I
that
would prefer to say
is
color
that creation
differentiation,
wasn't
because-
perfect. Because if the creator was perfect and created us perfectly, then he would be able to see color. But that didn't happen.
Well, I can see
Unless
color.
he created things perfect and we created the error, which, you know what? Coincidentally, that's what the scripture says.
No. It's
No.
a physiological error. There's a rod and cone misalignment that created the actual flaw in the ability to perceive color, as the rest of us do. That's a physiological thing. You can scripturize that all you want, but it's not the reality.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you were saying.
Colorblindness
explaining
is
how
created by
colorblindness happens.
Yeah, it's a physiological thing. It's an actual defect in the rods and cones of the eyes and of the receptors. Sorry, Paul. I mean nothing against you, but it is actually a deficit. Like, it's a disability.
Yeah.
And
I understand the categorization of it as a disability. It's kind of like when you lose one sense, you kind of perk up with other ones to compensate.
Yeah, I am physically handicapped. I have cerebral palsy and a bunch of other brain damage stuff. So believe me, I'm right there with you.
And for me, I actually do. My values are aligned based on how I see the world physically and mentally, processing that experience. So my color blindness, I do not believe that there is a objective reality. I believe that each of us look at
You mean morality or
different parts of reality in different ways.
That's an interesting perspective, but I have a question for you on it.
Morality or reality? Paul, did you intend on saying more reality?
Yeah, he did. Reality.
Yeah, he
You
said
don't
reality.
believe there's an objective reality?
I said that reality is
Wait.
subjective, 100% subjective, and science
Paul,
is
I
trying
understand what
to
you're saying.
But Paul, there's a
I think I
difference
could-
between reality and perception of reality.
Yeah, and I have a question for you on it,
And
Paul.
we're talking about subjective and objective.
Have you ever listened, or have you ever worn the glasses that they came out with a couple of years back? The the filters that allow colorblind people to see
No,
in
it
areas of the
wouldn't.
spectrum they haven't been able to before?
No, and it wouldn't work for me.
Do you have a different? You're not red green then?
Red green color. I'm severely red green color deficient.
Interesting. So is my dad.
They basically
they
would
worked
see
for him.
white wherever it would be a negative color image, and I would basically have to reprocess how I see colors.
Yes, and he had to, and it just about broke his mind.
Yeah, I'm not
that,
going
that
to
doesn't
do that.
surprise me.
It wouldn't work for me because
Yeah.
all it's going to do
Okay.
is just make it turn white.
Yeah, Paul, just
Interesting.
Okay, we grant that your mind processes reality in a way different than ours, but that does not mean that reality is subjective. Your experience of reality
is unique, but not
Discover
necessarily
things about
correct.
reality that aren't already known.
Wait, I'm sorry, Paul. Could you say that again?
How do people discover things about reality that aren't known or are disputed or moved forward by these subjective discoveries?
Through the
that
scientific
may turn
method.
out to be what people claim are objective realities.
Through the scientific method, sir.
Right, and that's a
we're all
collective.
Things that can be
experiencing
falsifiable.
reality, so
Well, yeah,
we're
it's a
all
collective
experiencing
grouping of people's
subjective.
subjective views, and the science they use is able to make sure that it's repeatable, and if it is, then it's added to the collection.
Yeah, if you remember,
it's still added to the collection, even if it's not. But
if you remember, like the discovery of the ultraviolet spectrum, for instance, was done because of color in and of itself. They actually split the color spectrum up, and then like had thermometers to detect the heat range of each color, and they put a thermometer to the side of it to see, like as the control, to say this is not part of that experiment. This is just the norm, the control, if you will. And there was actually a spike in it because there was the ultraviolet, the non-visible spectrum that was still readable outside of it. So I mean, yeah, but the reason that we were able
what's
to add that to the
considered
collective knowledge
objective
was because it was
reality
falsifiable and verifiable
changes
beyond
over
just
time.
one person's experience. It was something that other people could duplicate.
If what's called objective reality changes over time, it's not
Our understanding of
objective.
it does. Our reality does not.
Sure, it does.
No, I mean you can they have
My
these,
reality
they have
is way
glasses
different than
which
mine
will
would be.
flip your vision. Okay,
It's not
and
just about vision.
and eventually your brain will adjust and flip it back. The
Yeah, the
view,
drone goggles.
yeah,
We also
what's in
see
front of
upside
you,
down,
what's
and
in front of you does
process
not
our
change. The objective reality in front of you does not change, but your perception can flip.
Sure.
Yeah, reality is not like
And that's
dependent
my
on our
point.
mind.
Right.
I guess that's kind of my point in an abstract way, is that yeah, my perception, so in my reality, reality is subjective. So I am apart from.
So close.
It's the psychological end of what you're talking about, and the way that you're huffing and puffing about me feeling this way is the same way that that they're that's going with other things here. Difficult to explain that part.
The point is,
Look, Paul.
even if your perception is different, it doesn't mean reality is different. It means how you see it is different.
Right. No, I
Yeah,
understand.
that's what we're. Okay,
Yeah.
but what aren't you understanding? Because you're saying reality is subjective.
So you all are supporting Cobain's theory that that morality and things like that are
Oh
subjective
yeah,
or
way
objective.
more than they know.
Not even close.
No,
One of them is a physiological.
reality
aspect, the other
and
is a
morality are
psychological.
not issues that intersect. Okay.
Oh, sure
Completely
they do,
different.
because
Because reality would exist with or without a species, whereas morality would not.
That's right.
Yeah, Edward put it perfectly as a category error, and I think we've brought that up multiple times.
Yeah. And every now and then somebody will just misspeak and use the word reality instead of morality, and it just
Yeah,
makes
we've
it
been
even
talking
more
drives me
for
crazy.
how fucking long right now. like a couple hours. So
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna dip out of here, Phil, but I
All right.
appreciate you letting me back up. It's been good to see you.
All right. You too. I love your mind.
Yep.
You're clear thinking. I love that.
Thanks, Phil. I'll be
Take
back
Yeah.
in the night.
Take care. Bye.
And I don't mean to say that reality as collectively seen is not true, but it's, I mean, collectively, that's how we define what objective reality is.
Yeah, I
collection of the evidence displayed and everything, and it's profound that it's true. So I can agree that there is a main, I guess what you would call the objective reality. I can agree with that.
Okay.
I don't mean to backpedal. I mean to say I can agree to alter my definition of
Yeah, that's
what-
perfectly fine. But
Yeah, it's like when people say my truth, your truth kind of stuff, that triggers me. You know, it's
Yeah,
like there is one truth. I mean, we all have our little worlds that we live in terms of what influences us and stuff that differs, and there's different
I'm so confused.
misperceptions.
You just say there is one truth.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
my
in
point
terms of physical truths, there are
So I
truth.
think that
There's only
Like what?
it's just reality. You know, like there's a ground that's under you, for example. That there's a true fact of that.
The earth is
yeah, when
the
he
earth
said
is
there was one truth, he wasn't like, yeah.
the earth is round, and even though your perception of it, because you can look outside and you don't see a round earth or something, you can say, well, your perception of it in your reality, you know, it's flat, but that doesn't change the truth of it, that it is round.
Right.
So then, if I said that what did you say, Phil? That the floor was flat or something like
I
that?
said that there is a floor under you, whether or not you can see it.
Right, right.
So when I talk about truth, I'm talking about just their physical.
If I said that there was not a floor under me, would I be that's my subjective opinion? I mean, is that right or
You'd just
wrong?
be wrong. You would just be
wrong. But I'm saying, would I be subjectively wrong or objectively wrong?
You would be well. It's a thought coming from your mind. So I guess you would call that subjective. You'd be subjectively. Well, now let's be careful to not use wrong and right versus correct and incorrect.
No, I'm asking you just practically.
Because there's a distinction I'm trying to make here between values and just physical things. Okay, so I'm going to say that you'd be incorrect. If you believe that there's no floor underneath you, you would be incorrect.
So let me ask this: since we actually see things transversed in our mind, wouldn't it be more accurate to say there's a floor above us?
No, we
see
don't.
things
No, we don't
upside
flip
down.
it. We don't flip it.
Oh yeah, we do. Our eyes are globes, and the images are flipped in our brain.
But your brain corrects for that and puts it back.
There's some people that don't do that.
Phil.
Yeah, but we're making an
That's
assertion
the
about
special
reality,
glasses,
which
I
is-
guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Cobain,
Phil.
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You determined that objective morality applies to the benefit of humanity.
Who are you talking to?
Ask it again.
Cobain,
Uh-huh.
how have you determined that objective morality applies to the benefit of humanity?
How have I? Okay, first and foremost, I don't necessarily. I mean, that is a something that I've concluded that it does, because I believe that the objective morality is a person rather than just laws of physics.
How have you determined that with
I have
your
found
own
to
moral
know-
judgments, though?
Right. I have actually done. I mean, I have found Jesus Christ to be the end all be all when it comes to that. That's my primary position when it comes to that discussion. I know who fashioned it. I know who put everything in order, and because of that, I found out that He is love. That's my position.
Do you mean Jesus Christ a human, or do you mean
absolutely.
Jesus Christ a god?
Jesus Christ, well, he's both actually. He was born
Okay.
of a virgin, which is from the flesh, and then he was born of the Spirit, which is of the Holy Spirit, which is God.
Do you know the objective mind of God?
He shares it with us. I don't know it fully, but he does share his objective mind with us.
So you've been shared the objective mind of God.
Yes, he shares it in the scripture.
Gotcha. If he shared the objective mind of God, I'm wondering if you can tell me what God's thinking.
What God's thinking as of right now, no,
Yeah,
no.
he shared his mind with you.
Well, yeah, he wants all believers to come to the knowledge of Christ.
Right. I understand that, but like, what is God thinking right now? Since he's revealed himself objectively to you.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. Like, I mean, for I mean, if you want, like, I know, like my brother, for example, I know what he's gonna do tomorrow. I know his intents. I don't know what he's thinking right now. If that's what you mean, no.
Has God revealed himself to you in a way that he
Yes.
okay, so God has revealed himself to you.
Yes.
Can you receive God, this God that you're aware of? Are you fallible?
Absolutely.
Could you be misinterpreting what God has revealed to you?
No.
Is it possible? Even if you don't think it is, could you?
No, of course not.
Okay, so you are infallible when it comes to the interpretation of the revelation of God.
Right.
Okay,
I'm
so
fallible when
you
it
are
comes to the
God.
carnal. I'm fallible when it comes to the flesh. I'm not fallible when it comes to the spirit.
Right. And I didn't, I figured you would probably walk into this, but without intending to, you've just claimed to be God.
Well, I've been given his spirit. I mean, I'm not God himself. I didn't create the cosmos, but I
No,
mean,
you've claimed to objectively know whatever God reveals to you.
I think that's more of a
Perfectly.
linguistic game that you're approaching it with. I think it's more of a linguistic game that you're saying. It's like saying the devil is a liar. Have you ever told a lie? Well, that makes you the devil. No, not necessarily.
How have you determined God's objective revelation?
Well, because I found myself to be a sinner according to the Ten Commandments, and recognizing that Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins, and the love of God was shed abroad in my heart. So I recognize who He is because of that, and now I love others because He loved me.
Right, and you're claiming to be infallible when interpreting the revelation of God.
Yes.
Okay. So you understand the revelation of God as well as God does.
Sure.
You are God.
Again, I think that's a linguistic game.
I got another question for you. So you keep coming up with bringing up the Ten Commandments as that's what you broke, right? Just the Ten Commandments. Why do you narrow it down to there when Jesus is teaching? When he would talk about it, he would talk about the law, right? The law and the prophets, right? Those two phrases are what's used throughout the New Testament, and not just the Ten Commandments. So I'm questioning why you say the Ten Commandments when the law, when they refer to the law in the New Testament, they're referring to the Torah, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Why do you narrow that down to just the Ten Commandments?
Sure, and I'll be more than happy to get into that. But I want to ask you a question real quick, Ralph, if you don't mind. I really want to hear your answer when it comes to this. Before we switch topics, the floor is beneath me. If I say it's not beneath me, am I am I wrong?
Yes, you are incorrect because there is something underneath everyone because we're all adhering to the laws of gravity.
So
And we can measure it.
So am I subjectively wrong or objectively wrong?
Well, if you're choosing to tell an untruth, you are subjectively wrong and you're objectively wrong. If for some reason your senses were completely blinded and you had no way of knowing, maybe you were really upside down, so your down was our up and there was no floor below you, yes, you could be correct in both in that case, but I don't think that's the case here. right?
No,
Yes.
right. Without entertaining
You could be
a
hanging
narrative that is
upside
that is-
down in open air, and yes, there would not be a floor beneath you because beneath you
No,
would
I'm
be
saying
up for everyone else.
me and you are standing right next to each other on a floor, and I say there is no floor underneath this. I'm saying, am I subjectively wrong or objectively wrong?
You're
This
both.
is by definition
So there is
semantics,
such thing
by
as
the way.
objective reality.
This is
You're both
literally a
subjectively and
semantical argument.
objectively
There's such
incorrect.
thing as objective morality.
Morality,
But
No,
there is no
category
such thing
error.
as objective morality.
yes,
For
another
you to,
category.
for you
error.
to even claim there's objective morality, the first step in that is to show evidence of that objective morality. And I've asked you this earlier, and you still have not given me any source, any evidence
and
of
I'll give you
objective
whatever you
morality.
need. But I'm asking you a question. I'm saying if I said that there was no floor underneath this, am I
You are
objective?
both subjectively incorrect and you're objectively incorrect. Both.
So when you say that objectively incorrect, there's such thing as objective morality.
Morality
It's not a
and a
moral
floor beneath
statement.
you
It's
have
not a
nothing
moral
to do
assertion.
with each
So
other.
it has
They-
nothing to do with
Oh
morals.
boy, you
Hey,
just
Cobain.
you're
I-
really
I-
just like to jump categories, don't you?
Cobain, when we say it's a category error and then you jump back to it, is there a reason that you don't listen?
Well, we wanted to get into. He wanted to get into discussion of the Torah, and I wasn't about to go there, but I didn't want to jump the topic.
Well, no, that's literally not answering the question. Okay, what do you think a category error is?
Okay, so we're talking about the floor underneath us, correct?
Yeah, so
No,
what do you
no,
think a
what do you think a
category
category
error
error
is?
Like what? And what do I think a category error is?
In logic, what's
Yeah.
a category error?
I don't know. Explain it to me. What's a category error?
Phil, you want to take that one?
I'm probably not the best, but I'll give it a shot. When something is it's like comparing apples to peaches or rocks or something like that. You have to stay within similar things. Something in this case, objective, factual, physical things are not the same category as
Yeah, it's
objective,
immoral. It's an
moral,
immoral agent.
value-based concepts. So
Or
these
like
are
saying
just two different categories. So you can't,
Yes, and I
even though
understand
we
what you're
still
saying,
have
but-
the
Yeah.
word objective, in the two
Yeah,
different categories.
Cobain, maybe I could give you like an example.
No. I understand. I understand what I'm saying. You don't have to go there. I want to cut to the chase here. But what I'm saying is that if I lie about the floor being underneath me, I'm subjectively, my subjective morality is wrong. Correct? Am I
No, if
wrong?
you're
Well, now
lying
you've
about the
brought up that
floor,
you're
if you're
lying
lying
about
about the
it.
floor, it's not a moral issue. That's the category error. We're
So
talking
lying
about
is not a moral issue.
Yeah.
Okay,
does that lie,
I think I've got it. Okay.
does that
Cobain.
lie harm someone else?
So you're saying that it's not necessarily a moral issue if I lie, correct?
No,
Yes,
no,
you can
Cobain.
lie.
Wait, no, he's lying. No, he just strawmanned your argument. Don't let him run
Yeah.
past that.
Yeah, don't let me
Yeah.
run.
Okay, Cobain. What is blue objectively?
What is blue objectively?
Mhm.
A color.
Independent of a mind, what is blue objectively?
Blue. Blue is a color.
What is the bluest blue? Objectively.
What is the bluest blue?
Yeah, is there a bluest blue objectively?
Like a royal blue? Is that what you mean?
Is there a bluest blue objectively?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, maybe. I mean, royal blue would be more bluer than baby blue, I guess, if that's what you're playing.
Okay, can you determine that without a mind?
Of course not.
Okay. What is wrong?
Nothing was wrong with you.
what is wrong
No, what
versus
what
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 does
is
the word
wrong?
mean?
Yeah, what is wrong in reality?
What is wrong as a whole? It's something that's contrary to being right, something that's contrary to being truth, something that's contrary to being right. I think that's the answer, right?
Yeah, so what is wrong in reality? Like, what is it as an actual thing? Outside of a mind, I mean.
Well, I think we got to be careful here with the word wrong versus incorrect. So which word do you mean?
Actually, either one is okay here.
And
Actually, I do mean wrong. Actually, weirdly
Yeah, and
enough.
feel free to
Let me
continue.
read this category mistake definition. Maybe this will help. In logic, the error of assigning to something a quality or action that can properly be assigned to things only of another category. For example, treating abstract concepts as though they had a physical location. Does that help at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So then, what I understand what you're saying. I understand what we're talking about. Morality is not necessarily like the floor. For example, morality isn't the floor, right? Of course, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, if I said that I'm not standing on a floor when I clearly am,
Okay.
I'm saying I'm objectively. There's an objective truth that I'm in error with.
Yeah, I didn't get what I missed on your premise was that you were saying that you were lying, as opposed to if you actually believe there is no floor beneath you.
Gotcha.
But I'm saying, one case you believe there is and you're lying about it, so then we can throw in some morality in that case. But if you are just physically believe that it's not there and there it is there, then you're just objectively wrong in a non-moral sense.
Right. So Phil, I'm saying, so answer that. Am I wrong? Because there would be an objective truth, correct?
If you're lying, or if you actually truly believe that there is no floor.
If I'm lying.
If you're lying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
then,
me and you standing.
I don't think that's a moral question because morality has to do with good and bad with other humans. Value-based things. Is it good for a person, bad for a person? So something that does not have that type of aspect to it is not a moral question. So if you're lying about the floor being under you, I don't think that's a moral concept.
The question comes down to does that lie in some way harm someone else?
Right.
So if my wife asked me,
no, that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying there's error. There's error in what I'm saying. Clearly, the error is that
you're
I am
incorrect.
standing on the floor.
No, it's not an error if you're lying. You're misleading. That's a different thing. If you're lying, you're misleading.
I'm wrong. There is a floor underneath me.
Okay. I see where the error is. I see what
I'm saying. I'm standing on the floor. Wait, let me finish.
Cobain, hang on. I see the issue.
I say that there is no floor. I'm wrong for that. I am adhering to an objective truth.
Cobain, does the floor exist independent of your mind?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. That's my point.
Excellent. Do morals exist independent of your mind?
Yes, that's my point.
Demonstrate that.
Exactly. So if I'm standing on the floor and I say I'm not, am I in error?
Yeah, so can you demonstrate how morals are independent of your mind?
I'm saying that morals are objective.
Yeah, and I'm asking you to demonstrate
we get that.
how that's the case.
So Cobain, what you're missing there is when you're saying demonstrate it, and then you say I say. Well, if you say, that means you use your mind. So that's not demonstrating any of that without your mind.
But if you're standing next to me, it would be demonstrating, correct?
You can't say or
I don't think you
anything.
understand what we mean when we say this.
What I'm saying is, if you're standing next to me and you recognize that I'm saying something false,
okay,
you know that I'm not adhering to an objective.
When we ask you to demonstrate this, Cobain is well, it doesn't matter if you don't understand. Okay, we're asking you to demonstrate that. We're asking you to demonstrate that objective morality exists. Okay, we're asking that morality.
Dumbly, you answer my question. I'll answer yours. Okay, we'll do it fair. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question.
No. Okay. Oh, no. Internet Sloth asked you this question. You've just been like talking and talking. He asked you to prove that morality exists outside of your mind. Now just go and provide a line of reasoning that comes to the conclusion that morality exists outside of our mind.
Are you getting that? I think, therefore I am. Do you think that reality exists outside of your mind? I don't understand where you're going.
I'm just wondering how exactly
I didn't say reality.
I
said morality.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. You actually did say reality, but go ahead. What are you asking again?
Okay, Cobain.
No. Let Dumble. I can't.
This was actually my question, Cobain. So I could ask.
Okay, this was Internet Sloth's question.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Can you provide a line of reasoning?
Let him ask then if that's his question.
Yeah.
Oh my
Can you
goodness. Let's do it
demonstrate
again.
that morality exists outside of your mind?
That's what I'm trying to do. If you let me. So, are you ready?
Right. Without asking us questions, can you please demonstrate it?
Why do you have to constrain me to? Let me demonstrate it. How about that? Let me just demonstrate it. Whether
If you want me to make an argument for something, I don't need to ask you questions about it. I'll just make the argument.
I'm saying you're asking me to demonstrate it. Let me do it.
Yeah,
Doesn't
what
matter
we
how
mean
I
by
do it.
demonstrate, okay, Cobain, when we ask you to demonstrate something, we want you to provide a line of reasoning that comes to the conclusion of what we ask you to demonstrate.
You really didn't have to say all that. I mean, clearly that's what we're talking about here. So
Yeah,
can I demonstrate?
but you're not following that.
You're not letting me finish my statement.
Because we know that you aren't following it.
All right, let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance.
Okay,
go ahead,
so now that you
Cobain.
understand
Go
that,
ahead,
go ahead, Cobain.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it's internet sloth. Okay, it's internet sloth. If you're standing next to me on a floor, and you know that we're both standing on a floor, and I say we're not standing on a floor, my question is this: am I objectively wrong?
Hey, that was a really cool question. Would you like to answer mine?
Can you answer mine yes or no?
You've asked the same question so many
I'm
times,
asking internet
Cobain,
sloth.
and
Please, just give me a yes.
you're still not. You're
Okay,
still not.
I
getting,
just had to mute
that
you,
doesn't work.
Cobain, just to have a timeout there. It is just very rude of you to not understand that this whole this is like first grade. Question, answer, question, answer. Okay, and then we reverse. That's called discussion. Question, answer. Question, answer. Stop answering a question with another question. You can do this. You can do this. You've been through first grade.
Yes or no question.
We have answered your question. Phil has answered this question that you've been giving us multiple times.
Yes or no? Am I adhering to an objective morality?
We've told you that
there is no objective morality. For you to claim there's objective morality, step one.
Don't even answer the question.
Step one is to provide your source of objective morality. If you want to claim there's objective morality, like I've asked you, you need to provide that source of your objective morality and show evidence of that source. Without that, there is no objective morality to begin with. Objective reality, yes, there are things that are real. Do not confuse reality with morality. They're not the same thing. It's like saying that the color blue tastes like vanilla ice cream.
I'll
They
go ahead
are
and answer
different
it for you.
categories.
I'll go ahead and answer it for you. The objective morality is that I'm wrong, that there is a floor underneath me, and the reason why you can't answer
That's
it
not
is
objective morality.
It testifies against your delusion.
That's not morality. You're talking about reality. They are different things.
There is a right and wrong. Reality is okay. Reality is something
All right,
that's
you're mixing.
That was an excellent claim there. Please demonstrate that.
I just did.
Yeah. How have
No,
you
you didn't.
determined outside? How have you determined the source of right and wrong outside of your mind?
Because I can deny the fact that there's a floor underneath me, but there is. Whether I say it or not, there is. And that being said,
Right, and I can see the floor, and so what I'm asking you is, where is the source of the morality? Like, I can see the floor. Where can I see the source of the morality?
the source is the fact that you know that I'm speaking error if I lied about it. Did you know that
No, I
it's
don't.
not credible what I'm saying? You know that there's a floor underneath me. What are you talking about?
Right, and so I can see the floor.
Yes,
Where's
that's
the
right.
source of the objective
Exactly.
morality?
So if I say there's not, then I am in error morally. I'm morally in error, not only by my own position, but because there's an objective truth.
Right, so I'm asking you, where are the source of moral claims? I see the floor. So how is it that you've determined that morals come from something outside of your mind, that is?
Okay, so I'm saying would it not fall in your mind that there would be that I would be in error? Yes or no?
Gotcha, so it's mind dependent.
Absolutely.
Okay, so morals are mind dependent to
Right.
humanity. So
And what
excellent,
I'm
we
saying
agree they're
is
subjective.
and what I'm saying is that God is the ultimate moral objector. That's my
Awesome.
position.
Can you provide
So it's subjective to God's mind.
And you provide the evidence for God and his moral standard. Where does that exist?
Right. So again, which leads me back to what me and Phil first started, which is an universal, the uniformity of nature testifies to a deity, which is the fact that the earth is tailored to its inhabitants, the fact that we have eyes and see, and the fact that we have ears that hear testify to a deity. It's not a
Right.
coincidence.
I understand that you think that a deity exists. I'm still wondering how exactly you've determined that objective morality was given by a deity.
Okay, because of the uniformity of nature, we recognize that there is a deity. Okay, now
What
Because of the
uniformity
uniformity of nature, we recognize that the physical laws appear to be consistent from place to place.
It's a little more sophisticated than that, though, Phil.
We could get really
No, it's
fun, and I
not.
could even
It's
grant you a
not?
deity. I'd still want to know how exactly you've been given objective morals by this deity.
Right. So then there's a claim that's being made in religious texts that we have that clearly strike our conscience that we can't go around, which leads us to this conversation. Whereas you guys suppress the fact that there is a truth that is not only subjective but objective. It's not a coincidence that
Truth
every
is subjective.
come again
Truth is subjective.
that are not only
Outstanding.
subjective but objective.
Truth is subjective and objective. So moral claims about the true nature or
If
the
you're
truth status, whether or not a moral claim is true is subjective. Outstanding. We agree.
So if y'all's position was right, then you would see maybe every state would probably hold different laws, such as it's okay to steal in this place where it's not okay to steal here.
Every state does have different laws.
Yes, of course.
Countries have different laws. They're not all the same.
Right, but if we go
We've
to the
agreed.
commandments,
Every
good.
church.
Okay, now we're getting back to like just because people colloquially like agree on something does not make it objective.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's true.
I think we're bypassing the fact that he just agreed that morals are subjective.
Yeah, that and also I'm just I just need to know what he thinks objective and subjective means.
Subjective is your own personal opinion. Objective is it's a like more of a law or policy that's enforced on you. That's what I would hold it as.
Objective is mind independent. Subjective is dependent on a mind. So objective is always true no matter where it is or when or
objective
who's observing it. It's always in that case or condition. Subjective means that a different person observing it or reading it or understanding it can come to a different conclusion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. So the problem is if you believe in the Bible and Christianity and stuff, is that the morals in there are subjective. Even those in there, they're supposedly put there by your objective source, are subjective. Stuff like wearing mixed cloths, slavery, wearing or eating shellfish, etc., etc. Like you can pull out the nice easy one of do not unalive and do not lie, but you need to look at all the other moral standards in there that we do not adhere to and that even most Christians today will not agree with. And the big reason why it's especially not objective is that people reading that same text, different religious, groups or whatever, denominations, churches, even churches within the same denomination will disagree on the moral stance of that source of morality in different ways. Right? So there's different moral stances. And if there's different moral stances on the same source, it cannot be objective.
The Hebrews were called to be a peculiar people that were gifted with the oracles of God. Now, if you want to wear polyester blend, by all means. But God says that cotton was better. I mean, by all means, it's not necessarily a law that you're in. The Hebrews had to keep these laws, but we don't have to keep these laws. They're not necessarily for Gentiles.
If we don't have to keep them,
God
then they are
says that
objective.
cotton was better. What a
I
small
too read
God.
the Old Testament, and while it certainly has a lot of interesting things to say,
That's
what
more than
I'm
it.
really curious about is now that we agree that morality is subjective, and we agree that our minds exist,
I don't agree
I'm
with that.
wondering how
I don't
you
agree with that.
where this objective source independent of a mind is.
Wait, I
Us,
don't agree with that.
us adhering to morality is a subjective approach. Morality itself is objective.
Right, and since we've agreed that it's subjective and you have yet to provide an objective source,
Us adhering to
but hey,
morality is objective. It's subjective, but morality itself is not subjective. That would be an opinion. It wouldn't even be classified as morality as a whole.
right, so I'm just wondering how exactly you've gotten that and how you can demonstrate it. Besides just like claiming a God exists, I'm wondering how it is that you can demonstrate that in reality.
Yeah,
That
because just
morality.
claiming a God exists does not demonstrate that.
Yeah, I know, and I hear you guys talking. I hear y'all saying it with y'all's chests out, puffed up. But I mean, for what it's worth, is that I know that you guys know that not only based off of your culture and the way you were brought up, but we know that unaliving somebody is wrong, that stealing from somebody is wrong, is that bullying is wrong, that these things are wrong, stealing is wrong. It's written on your hearts, is what according to what the scripture says. So this
So morality is subjective to cultures. And if we are raised in a different culture where morals are different, then that means that objective morality has changed. Neat.
no, it's more than
Let's give
culture.
Indomitable.
I'll
Let's
give you an
give
example.
Indomitable a chance to speak.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. I'm not. I just came in. I haven't watched the whole live. Is
Yeah,
it
it's been happening
everyone's
for a while.
position besides the guy at the guy that disagreed? Like everyone else's position that morality is subjective?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Three middle ones
How,
for me.
how did you come to that conclusion?
Because there's no objective source.
Do you think that everything is subjective?
No.
What's not subjective?
Things
Reality.
independent of a
Oh, no.
mind.
Hey, yeah, Indomitable. We've pretty much gone over all this with Cobain.
Well, I think I have better arguments than
Yeah.
anybody else.
Can you demonstrate
I wouldn't doubt
morality
it.
independent of a mind for us real quick?
Wait, you're saying that I should be committed to doing this?
Yeah. You're saying that it
Based
is.
on
So I'm
wait,
waiting
based on
for a way that
based
you can
on which
demonstrate that.
standard? Based on which standard?
Yeah, so outside of asking for like my standard, I'm asking you if you can demonstrate it in reality. That's a pretty broad demonstration.
Oh, morality. You're saying morality itself?
Yeah, you're saying that. Are you saying that morality is objective?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
I
can you
think by the
demonstrate
end of
that in
this,
reality?
I think by the end of this, if you don't boot me, I think you'll agree with me. How do you justify 5-year-olds sleeping with 80-year-olds to say that it's subjective?
Yeah, so I'm still waiting for you to demonstrate your
Well, that's the question.
objectivity rather than asking me
That's
questions.
what I'm kind of asking.
Indomitable.
Do you think that that's objectively or subjectively?
Indomitable. I just catch up a little bit. We spent an hour chastising Cobain for
I know,
answering questions with other questions.
Yeah, I wasn't here. I'm sorry, man.
That's
I work a job.
why I'm catching you up. So yeah, please don't answer a question with a question.
So let me ask you this, host. Would you say that 5-year-olds sleeping with 80-year-old? Do you think that that's objectively wrong?
Yeah, so we can say that it's
Hold
wrong.
up. My question was for the
Indomitable.
host. My question was for the host.
I'm still wondering if you'll answer my question.
Hold up,
about
I'll
how
answer
you
your
know
question.
that
Go ahead and deal with Abominable. I'm done with the round and round. We've been going round and round for so long.
I need this question to be answered to be able to give my full statement on what we're talking about.
Gotcha. So you can't answer whether
What
or
was
not
your question?
you're
Here, I'll
objective.
answer it. What was your question?
Yeah, can you demonstrate in reality that morality is objective?
Yeah, what would you require as a
independent? You
demonstration?
didn't even hear my whole question, by the way.
I think I heard it earlier.
Oh, well, you may want to hear it again to make sure that you hear it correctly.
Go ahead.
Please demonstrate how morality is objective, independent of a mind.
Yeah. So when you say demonstrate, what do you mean by that?
Provide an argument that has evidence for it in reality.
Okay, and you're saying that evidence has some sort of
Yeah, like I want to know. I want to see the source of this thing in
yeah.
reality.
You're saying that sources and evidence are valid?
Yeah, the source in reality.
You're saying that that's valid?
Why are you
We're
answering
asking
with
you to
another
provide
question?
Because I'm trying
evidence
to
that
clarify what he means. I'm not.
How
I
do you
mean,
not
you could
understand what
just
he's
provide an
saying?
Hold
argument.
up a second. I'm saying, are you saying that those things are valid?
what things? You
If
haven't
you're not
provided
making a
anything.
category error, evidence
I didn't say anything about a
us.
category error. I'm trying to clarify. Are you saying sources and evidence are valid?
Okay,
Yes,
Indomitable.
if they're valid.
Are you gonna interact like a
Are
normal
you
person
gonna
here?
run away? Or I'm trying to
Are you
flesh
gonna do this?
out
Are you
what he
gonna do
means.
this
We're not
precept
running.
crap?
We just
I'm
need
trying
you
to flesh out what he means.
He's literally giving like a great example. How do you
Yeah,
not?
I'm trying to flesh
I'm
out what
giving
he
you
means.
the entirety of reality,
The
and
reality
I'm
is
asking
you're
you
gonna
to
have to adhere to
demonstrate
it.
I know.
within
Listen, I
reality.
understand what your question is. I'm asking, are you saying sources and evidence are valid?
If they are valid evidence and
No,
sources.
not valid is valid. I'm saying are sources and evidence
Yeah,
valid?
as long as you can demonstrate them in reality.
Okay, I understand what you're saying now.
Not here.
When you say sources and evidence are valid, just before we go into the argument of this, why are they valid? What's the argument for that?
Yeah, so I'm still waiting for you to provide the argument.
Just to be clear, if I'm committed to giving you this, I want to understand why it's valid in the first place.
Yeah, so you can just start with your argument anytime.
No, you can
man.
answer the question if I'm committed to this system.
Why do we have to answer your question?
Because
you
he's
can just
saying
provide.
he's presupposing that they're valid. I want to talk to this
No,
presupper.
we're not presupposing anything. We're
Okay,
asking,
then why are sources and evidence valid?
Stop, Indomitable.
Are you
We're
going to run
not
away now?
We're not presupposing anything.
Why are
You're
sources and
asking-
evidence valid?
Stop. We're asking you to provide.
He's asking me to operate inside of his worldview. I want to know why it's valid.
No one's asking you to operate in anyone's worldview.
So
in
now
order
you
to
gotta
have a
mute me, host?
discussion,
You mute
need
me,
to
host?
answer the question.
Yeah, I'm muting because you're being an ass.
He said sources and
Bye. Bye.
Oh,
Bye. Bye.
Gosh, it's like the.
I mean, you know, I have
I'm-
not heard a single person come in and make a decent argument with jumping into an attitude like that. From
We
square
didn't
one.
run. Okay, so when we ask you to demonstrate something, so you're obvious. Okay, so he's a Phil bro, so he understands what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
When we ask you, when Internet Sloth is asking you that question, he's asking you to provide a line of logic and reasoning that ends with the conclusion that that morality exists outside of the mind. That's mind independent.
Yeah, just
So
some evidence that there is objective morality, and you can't do it because morality is mind dependent. Even if you say it's morality from a deity, you would have to show that deity is unchanging and continuous, and like especially if you go to the biblical Jesus deity, whatever, he changes his mind many times in the book. So if his mind can change, everything in there becomes mind dependent, which makes it subjective by its very nature.
And just so you know, what's wild about this in particular is I would have refuted this claim as a hardcore Christian. Like this is a tag is an apologetic within Christianity, and it's popped up amongst the Phil Bros as an argument. If you go to a seminary, traditionally this is something you would argue about inside of the faith, even. Like it's not even a good argument inside of the faith. I would have called it like heretical within the faith to claim, because it leads you to the inevitable conclusion of knowing the objective mind of knowing the objectivity of what God has revealed to you, which is heretical in the extreme.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't
well, it
get
would lead
what
to
you-
if it was objective, all Christian churches would believe the same moral stances on everything.
Yeah,
I mean that's beyond the God has a mind, therefore it can't be objective; it's subjective. That even going beyond that and ignoring that part, if it was objective, everyone who read the laws or code or the moral stances in there would come to the same conclusion. There would be no question about it, especially people who studied and whatnot. But you have so many different, and I hate that they always use the do not unalive people and don't lie as two examples when there's millions of others that are just horrible gray areas.
Yeah, what, like, and I don't even like understand why he brought up like validity of evidence or other things. Like, if we're asking you, you know, to like, I don't know, it's like literally everyone came up, like, didn't understand that, you know, statements and like observations like of reality and stuff is not the same as morality.
I think he's getting to, because you don't know God and God isn't your source, that you can't have any evidence and there is no reality because the only reality is there because of God or whatever. And if you don't believe in God, then you have no reality. Therefore, you can have no evidence. So there's no point in me giving you any evidence because you have no basis in reality. Something along those lines. But they never really get out to say that. They just have this thing where they make these, stupid questions like you.
Well, I mean, I didn't mind his very first question, a clarification question, but then when he kept going on it, it's just again, to me, it's tactic. It's just tactic.
That's why I argue, or that's why I usually say, give me any evidence in reality. Because if people keep pushing beyond that line, no one hears, can you give me any evidence inside of all of reality? And thinks that going, well, what's evidence? What is that? No one thinks that's a reasonable response.
Yeah, it's like trying to tear down science because science is working against you. So, Angel 999 is requesting in, but I'm going to be wrapping up here now. We're at 3.5 hours, so I think it's been a long evening of going around and around in circles. So
you guys were very patient, I've got to say, very, very patient with them.
That's kind of what we do here. So. Anyways,
Well, good talking to you, gentlemen.
Thank you for coming in. I did appreciate the clear thinking here on you three. So I appreciate that as usual.
Have a good one. See you next Wednesday still?
Yeah, Angel, you can come back Friday.
I'm just doing Wednesdays now, so you guys are on your own for other
are?
stuff. Yeah. This is different priorities, shifted things.
Yep.
All right. Take care.
Yep.
We'll talk to you next time.
Yep. See you next week.
Good night.